Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everybody, to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, a Wednesday edition, along with newly married Dustin Fox and longtime married Jason Lloyd. I'm Adam the Bull. We've got Anthony, Mike, and Steve on the other side of the glass. Earl up in the perch. Earl and Jason are mad at me. Oh, my God. We'll get to that in a little bit.
One sec. Yep, on that. But
we'll get there. I was just going to tease it, Mike. Show some faith.
Listen, sometimes the person in that chair just goes on the rampages.
I got you.
So
I got you. I know what's going on here.
Can I, real quick, I just reached into my pocket. Can I tell you what life with ADD is like? I have socks in my pocket.
Those aren't your socks.
Yeah, they're my socks. Because I started to wear
footies?
Yeah, they're little footy socks. Because I started to wear different shoes today.
Yeah.
These look like pantyhose.
No, they're just little black footy socks.
Like the things they give you at the women's shoe store.
They are not women's shoe store socks. Don't be starting that.
That's questionable.
But I was going to wear different shoes,
Yeah.
and then I saw those. I'm like, oh, I'll just wear those. And apparently I shoved the socks in my pocket.
Yeah.
And
There
I
you
just
go.
reached in and found them.
I find every day I got to look through my son's pool bag to see what treats he's left in there.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and then I make him clean it up, but whatever.
All right.
Anyway.
Now continue.
All right. So
gonna take my
yesterday we
socks out of my
talked
pocket.
about it a little bit.
Before that,
Yeah.
Dustin is a newly married man. He
That's
didn't
what
give
I
us a
was
chance.
getting to, Mike. What are you doing?
Well, you said yesterday. I thought you were going to get to the Mobley stuff.
No. Yesterday.
I have very little faith
we
in you
talked
today.
about. I mean, that's really insulting, Mike.
Listen, after your take on
You
Halliburton,
may disagree with my take, but I've never let you down in terms of leads before.
that is true. That is
so yesterday we talked a little about the wedding because G. Bush and Tyvis were here, so we gave a little bit from our perspective. But obviously, we didn't want to get too deep into it. There's a picture. I already taken off my suit, looking very sloppy. Although Dustin's in casual clothes by that point.
I had to get out of the talk. So this was like at 9:30, 9:15.
Yeah.
So we got into our second attire, second outfit.
So it was a great night, but now the man himself is here.
I'm here.
And so what's like? You're married. It was It was amazing because we were worried about the weather the whole week.
Yes.
I know you and I had talked a number of times that week. We texted a number of times this week. We were, you know, I'm obsessed with the weather, even normal circumstances. I'm looking at the weather 82 times because I got a Little League game tonight. But I was monitoring that weather, and then the day before, on the Friday when you had the what's that called? The rehearsal dinner. Couldn't think of what it's called. And Jim Tressel, of course, came by for that. But I was like, I think you're going to be good. And it was. And it was cloudy. And then as the ceremony started,
dude, it was
for a minute the sun came out.
So right as my bride was walking down the aisle, it was like the skies parted and the sun came out. It was like it was magical. I mean, there were people that came up to me and were like, I was in tears. It was so perfect. I mean, it was perfect. It was amazing. Bull, look at this. Bull was phenomenal.
He did a great job. I'm going to yell at him in about 4 minutes, but I have to give him his props for the ceremony. He did a great job.
He absolutely killed it. I mean, there are people that didn't even know that Adam and I were radio partners for a decade. And they're like, who's that guy that married you? I'm like, oh, I mean, just some guy I found in the yellow pages, you know.
That would be funny, especially because, you know, I was doing some jokes if I had done that and I didn't know you at all.
Yeah.
That would have been weird. But, no, it was my honor and my pleasure. I'm so thrilled that you asked me to do it. And it was awesome. And I'll be honest, I was tearing up a little bit as I was reading it at times.
Yeah.
Because, you know, especially your bride, Sarah, she's been through a lot. You've been through a lot. And obviously her
touched
dad.
on a lot of stuff, man.
And it was, I mean, that's an amazing picture.
Yeah.
Put that back up again, guys.
So, like,
that looks like a movie picture.
So I didn't know about the fireworks.
Oh, you did?
No.
Oh, that was really cool.
So she surprised me with the fireworks display.
Yeah.
Folks, this was a high-end, better than like the city of Akron's fireworks display. I thought they were over like 3 times.
Yeah, it was wild. We were leaving at this point, and we stayed by my car before we left to watch the fireworks. And I was like,
They were really amazing. Yeah.
I thought this was like progressive field fireworks.
So they set us up in this area, like up on this little like hill area on the golf course, and so they had this beautiful. This is one they sent me. They've got more, but that was a pretty cool picture right there.
We left during the fireworks as well, like in the middle.
Yeah, you missed the Swensons?
I was so full, dude.
Oh, man.
I was so full.
I did eat a lot.
Yeah,
did you get a burger on the way out?
I did not.
Oh, bad job out of you.
I know.
As we were leaving in
should've.
the middle of the fireworks, 3 cop cars went whizzing by the other way. I'm like, oh my God, they just burned down the country club.
No, that was something else that was going on that I won't mention on here. But it had nothing to do with us.
Okay.
So it was all
and
good.
the good news is, and I actually didn't realize this till today, because your parents have both been ill, especially your
they're
mom.
not healthy right now, and so it was in doubt. It was
right.
They were questionable to make the ceremony.
And I didn't realize, because I was like, my wife asked if your parents were there, and I was like, no, I didn't, because I figured I would have talked to them or seen them at the party. I didn't realize they were just at the ceremony, and obviously I was occupied, so. But it was good that they were both able to make it,
and they made it early, so we got them in the pictures, which
that's great,
because you never know what happens, but. We got it documented. They were there.
Yeah.
With my kids and all that stuff. So it was really, really good. Like I can't say there was one thing that I would change.
It was,
nothing.
No, it was really perfect. The kudos to what's the name of the country club?
Fairlawn Country Club.
Their staff was amazing.
Oh, they killed it.
Amazing. So attentive. It's like the bar. Even though I don't drink. I was drinking
there were like
soda or whatever.
There were like 4 bars.
Yeah, and there was no lines.
In like every other room.
Usually at weddings, you got to wait forever.
Right.
You didn't. They were really efficient. They brought out the food at appropriate times, and I thought they killed it. Staff.
Yeah, I mean, I was happy with it. Yeah. It was cool that there was like all these different like rooms to go to. It was like kind of like you didn't have to stay around the same people. You're like, I want to talk to him. I'll go over here.
Right. Absolutely.
Or go outside or whatever it may be. It was cool.
So the invite, not the invite. The place card, I guess, so we know what table you're on. It was super creative, super cool. It was little tennis rackets.
Did you try to grab it off?
I did.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. And I realized
like, why
later,
is this not coming
off?
Oh, my God, I can't get this off. Well, stupid. They're not supposed to come off. But I didn't realize that until we actually
I thought they were supposed to come off, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, my. I was like basically I had my foot on the wall, like yanking this thing off. Finally pulled these things off, and I got to the table. I was like, those probably weren't supposed to come off.
No, that was pretty cool.
We were not. It was just anyway.
And then at the very end of the night, Tyvis was going to try and run a 40.
Oh yeah.
What?
Oh
well,
God.
because so I was telling Dustin
this
before
didn't come
the
up
show.
Yesterday. You guys didn't talk about this.
We talked about it a little. We didn't get to that final part.
I don't know about this.
So we were at this.
It was
go ahead.
great.
You want to tell the story?
Well, I don't like. I was half in and half out of the conversation. It was Mike Doss was there.
Yeah.
It was G. It was Ty, and somehow it got on. Tyvis, like he can steal a bag, he can do this. And he said he could run a 40 in under 5 seconds, right? Yeah. And I said, well, we got plenty of room here. Let's go out on the course. I'll step it off. I'll time you. And then I dialed 911 on my phone, and I said, and I'll just wait for you to fall, and we'll have the
ready to do
here.
it.
Oh, he was ready.
Well, Mike Doss was. I mean, he was on him. Let's just put it that way. We were sitting at the table. There was a dessert room, basically.
Ohio State legend.
Anything you could want.
That was my idea, by the way.
That was a great call. Ice cream was very good. So were the cookies. And we're sitting at this giant table. It was Jason, myself, Jonathan Peterlin, Tyvis, G. Bush, and then eventually Mike Doss.
And the wives.
All our wives. And so we're sitting around this giant table, having a great time. We're all laughing. We're cracking up. First, Mike was talking about saving Dustin's ass at Columbus.
Oh, yeah.
Then he was talking about saving G. Bush's ass in high school. But once he got to Tyvis, I mean, oh, my God, because he was busting Tyvis's balls like you couldn't imagine.
And they didn't play together.
No, it was all in good fun.
No, I know that.
Tyvis was having a good time,
but Tyvis is like a young buck, and
By
Doss treats
like
any
10 years.
Yeah.
Well, because
but that's the brotherhood.
It started because you and Mike and G, none of you guys do. I think it's squatting or legs at all anymore. Apparently,
no.
And Tyvis still does it, so he was kind of calling the rest of you old and blah blah blah. And it turned into this whole thing about what Tyvis can do. I mean, it was. I'm sure most of our fans would have loved to have been a fly on the wall at that table because it was so funny. I mean, we were almost falling on the floor laughing. And yes, as Jason said, Tyvis was ready to run that 40-yard dash.
He says
and,
he could
and
run.
Tyvis doesn't drink either, so this was like a drunken decision.
Oh, no.
This was like he was probably ready to go.
And his wife basically grabbed him at one point and said, sit your ass down. You are going nowhere.
Right.
You know, I got to meet Tyvis' wife. She's lovely.
Shout out to
awesome.
Lauren.
And
she's great.
I was like, man, how do you put up with him?
She's awesome. And I can't remember if I said this or not, but I didn't realize, I just found out at the wedding that Mike and Dawson, his wife, met like when they were 12 years old.
They've been together since like 6th grade.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
wow.
apparently they, for a brief time in high school, they dated other people, and then they came back together for the prom, and they've been together ever since.
Dude, I've known her forever.
And his daughters are all track athletes.
I mean, they're very good athletes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we had friends of yours from 6th grade at our table.
Okay.
Millers.
Oh, Matt Miller. Yeah.
And
he's on my 4x100 meter Stark County record team.
Really?
Track.
Well,
yeah.
I think I emotionally scarred his wife for life.
Yeah,
I can see that.
The first thing I said when we sat down, I don't even know how this came up. I said, I loved COVID. I had lived my best life during COVID because we were home and we didn't have to go anywhere. And like I had all this family time with my kids. And she looked at me like I was the devil. And I was like, that probably wasn't the best thing to say.
Yeah.
To
I think you're the
introduce
only
yourself to
person that
someone.
loved COVID.
yeah.
Other than Bull for the first like 6 months.
Yeah, and
But
then I had enough.
It was the family time. It was everybody was stuck there, and like
Yeah.
you got to be with your kids, and like all the stuff that I missed out on all these years, and we played games, and it was great.
Yeah.
And I probably could have phrased it a better way than I loved
Yeah.
COVID, but yeah. So I'm sorry to Jen, right? Jen and Matt.
Yep.
And Matt.
To put a bow on things, Dustin's wife Sarah is an amazing person.
Yeah,
she
and
is.
For those who don't know, you want to tell the story about
her father?
dad? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, right before I had met her, her father was having liver failure, not from alcohol, but from medication, and needed a transplant. And they got a rare blood type that she has, and her brothers have. But you got to be like the perfect donor.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
you got to like be a good candidate, and she was. And she she scheduled the surgery. She went to Pittsburgh. I mean, we won't like call anybody out, but like they had to like jump through loops and tons of stuff just to get the surgery done, and she saved his life.
Yeah, there's no
and
doubt he
was able to walk her down
That's
the aisle,
incredible. Right.
and he wouldn't have been here. So she's a
unbelievable.
special lady,
Yeah.
man.
And it was cool how emotional her dad was. That was
yeah.
really sweet. I think everybody really felt his great joy in the moment.
I mean, he was so happy.
And he was, even though he's, not in amazing shape physically, he was going from person to person, saying hi, shaking hands, and it was
I thought it was
great.
I thought it was crazy because they had a daddy-daughter dance,
Yeah.
and perfect song, Sarah Smile.
Sure.
James
Yeah.
Taylor.
Yeah.
And he knew every word of the song.
Oh, yeah.
And like Sarah was like, I don't even know that he knew the song.
Yeah.
But he knew
Let
every
alone
word. It was
that's
just
funny.
it was just like a crazy, awesome night.
Yeah. What a night.
So thank you for coming on. You
Yeah,
guys,
of course. Of
and
course.
Adam for officiating.
Yeah,
He did
thank you.
a phenomenal job.
Thank you.
Even though some people were like, "Who's this guy?" I'm like, just trust me.
Yeah.
No, Bull definitely
Trust
did a
me.
good job. Jason, I'm going to let you yell at Bull later in the show. Because we
That's
got to
fine.
get into some
What?
Guardian stuff. We got to get into the Guardian stuff. We got a guest coming up, then we got some
I
more
want to
time
yell
after
that
the
now.
guest.
I want to get into it.
And then
Let's
we're going to
go.
save it for post Myles because I don't want to get you all riled up before your former intern comes on the show.
All
So
right.
we'll save that till after.
Yeah.
But we got a Guardians game we got to dive into, a rare win of late for the Guardians, and we'll get to that after a quick word from FanDuel. The NBA Finals are in full swing. The Thunder lead the Pacers 3-2, Game 6. A potential clinching game is on Thursday night, and right now is the best time possible to get in on the action with FanDuel. Before tip-off or live, they have player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, giving fans more ways than ever to play smart and then win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it is the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Was I the only one that made it up to the end of this game? Did you make it, Jason? Dustin, did you make it up to the end of the game?
Yeah, I made it to the end.
No,
You
I
did.
actually,
Yeah.
because of your negativity, bet on him.
Oh, good.
I did.
Good.
Because you were like such a negative Nancy. Like, you guys think that I don't like see those chats?
Yeah.
Because I don't respond like ever.
Yeah.
But I check in.
All right.
And I saw your negativity last night.
Yeah.
I'm like,
we were killing
This is a
them.
good opportunity.
We were killing them last night.
To snag the Guardians, and I did at plus 140. And
I figured they'd be a big favorite on the road.
Well,
Robbie
when
Ray
it was
pitching.
it was 2-2.
Yeah.
Bottom of the fifth, and I'm like, it was plus 140. I'm like, all right, so
Yeah.
I took them, and then I actually fell asleep and woke up to a winner.
Nice. It was a good win.
They took the lead the next inning.
Yeah.
The sixth.
And they got, they got some breaks in those last 2 innings, and the bullpen got in trouble in both of those innings, and they were able to get their way out of it. It was a 3-2 Guardians lead for those who didn't see it. In the eighth, in the bottom of the eighth, the Giants had first and second, nobody out against Gaddis. I was a little surprised he stuck with Gaddis as long as he did, because at that point, I think he'd thrown almost 25 pitches.
Yeah.
Because he had come in in the seventh. And he hits into it was Wilmer Flores. They pinch hit him, and he hits a fly ball to Quan, who doubles off Casey Schmidt at second. That was some awful base running by the Giants. What was he doing there?
Total unawareness. That was a routine, not routine, but
a fairly easy
high
play.
enough, it's going to get caught.
That was like a little league moment from that guy.
Yeah.
That was so bad. So they got out of that inning, and then in the ninth, the Giants load the bases with 1 out, and I can't remember who the hitter was. So Clase was in trouble. He was wide. He kind of got squeezed on that 2-2 pitch. Whoever the batter was that walked to load the bases.
He was missing his spots too.
But he was missing his spots. It was a borderline pitch, and then the 3-2 pitch was way off to whoever the batter was. The last walk to load the bases. I can't remember who it was. So it's bases loaded, 1 out in the ninth. The next batter then hits a fly ball down the left field line that Quan catches, and I mean,
you should have sent him. They should have sent him.
Absolutely. First of all, that guy's a good runner. Who's it?
I don't care who it is.
It's the Korean player. I can't think of his name.
The leadoff batter.
Yeah. You have to send him there. Yeah. And listen, maybe Hedges would have tried to field it differently if he were coming.
It wasn't a good throw.
But it was a bad throw. Now, what Quan did that was amazing. We talk about with the catcher, you talk about pop time, like the time from you catch the ball till you get up and throw. Like his pop time in the outfield that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
But you got to take with one. If it's nobody out, okay. With 1 out, you got to take the shot there.
Yeah, it's your last chance to tie the game.
Yeah, especially with Clase.
And Quan's got a great arm. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
You still got to.
You got to take a chance.
He's got to make a great throw.
Right.
Hedges has to make the play at the plate.
Yeah.
Enough has to go right. You have to. I was shocked how poorly the Giants ran
their base run. But in the end, Clase finds a way out of it.
Yeah.
Gets the strikeout to end the game.
And credit to them. I hate the platooning.
Oh.
I hate.
Alonso's barely playing.
It's so stupid.
But
it worked. So
it worked last night.
You got to applaud him for last night.
Ciccone did a great job.
Yeah, I've been impressed with him.
He's pitched well.
Yeah.
What we've seen in his I was going to say his first full year. He's only made 6 starts, but he struggled in his time in Arizona when he was in the majors. And you look at his overall numbers; they're not amazing. Then he's got a low 4 ERA, a 130 WHIP's not great, but he's averaging over 9 strikeouts per 9 innings. Which is a positive, and 34-11. Again, the whip's not great. You want to knock that down, but still.
Hey, he just got into the Guardians lab of pitching. He's given them more than I thought he would already.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting anything from him this year.
And I'll be curious. The timing on Cantillo going down, I thought that they would stretch him out and bring him right back up for Logan Allen.
Right.
But now you got Bieber coming back in a couple of weeks, so they're going to have some decisions to make on the rotation.
Well, are we sure Bieber's coming back in a couple of weeks?
Yeah.
A couple of weeks seems a little
do you expect him to be ready to go, like, out the gate?
Like a month.
Yeah.
A month. Okay.
3 to 4 weeks.
All right, fair enough.
Not 2 weeks. Probably 3 to 4.
Yeah. Right after the All-Star break, hopefully.
Yeah, middle of July, I think is realistic for him.
So, I don't think Cantillo's in the starting mix right now. Now, injuries always pop up, so you never know. But and they've actually been, pretty healthy in the rotation.
They have.
They've been pretty – the bullpen, they've had some guys that have been banged up. But for the most part, they've been a healthy team. They've most years relatively been a healthy team for whatever reason. So they go back over 500. Obviously, the division – there's almost no chance of winning the division. They're still in the wild card mix. And listen, I'm not changing what I said yesterday. I think they're going to be under 500 at the All-Star break. And I don't like where the team is at overall. But for as good as Slade Ciccone's been, somebody was like, well, hey, listen, you complained about Josh Naylor getting traded, but they got Slade Ciccone. Well, pitching's never been a problem, Jason. They've always been able to develop pitching. They can't develop hitting. So if you're going to trade Josh Naylor for a pitcher, okay, Ciccone's been good, might turn out to be really good. But we've seen a million good pitchers on the Guardians in recent years, but they can't develop hitting.
No, I know.
And that's ultimately a problem.
But I also think that this is, these things come in waves, and I think internally they were at a little bit of a low point with some of the pitching.
I agree.
I think they needed to add a couple arms like Luis Ortiz and Ciccone that they added in the offseason, because after Williams and Bybee come through, I think it's a little bit of time now before the next wave of guys comes. So, now, yes, they need to do a better job, obviously, developing hitters in this lineup. It's so hard. It's just hard to watch some of these games, man.
Oh.
It's just
right now their pitching's good, but it's not good enough to overcome their offense most nights.
Well, yeah, you got to score more than 2 runs a game.
Yeah.
I mean,
that shouldn't be so hard.
I mean, golly.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
As a casual fan, Dustin, do you find the Guardians interesting to watch at all?
No. In fact, they're like, I'll look at the pitching matchups and I'm like, who are these guys? Some of them.
Yeah.
Because I've never heard of them. I'm not a diehard baseball guy, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm a phony. I do like watching the Guardians. They're my local team.
Yeah.
I bet on them, so they're fun to watch. But they're not fun to watch.
Yeah.
They're fun to watch when they win, but right now it's not fun at all. Last night was fun.
I was thinking during the game, and I know you doubled last night. This may be stupid. And tell me if it is. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Would you consider sending David Fry to AAA?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because he's got options left.
Yeah.
He's a right-handed
and he's
DH.
taking away at bats from Manzardo.
He's just a DH.
All he is a right-handed DH.
Get him ready to go.
Right now.
Yeah.
Love you, David. Great job last year.
Yeah.
I just think it's worth considering.
Yeah.
Sending him to Columbus, let him DH down there until he can actually help you in the field.
They have 4 guys who should be in Columbus on the roster, maybe 5. I don't know. I mean, let's face it. Outside of the first half of last year, David Fry's just been a guy in baseball. And he wasn't a big prospect.
I mean, no, he wasn't. But, he had a couple big postseason moments.
Oh, yeah. He was great in the postseason, but so was Brian Rocchio.
Yeah.
He was literally a player to be named. Right? Wasn't he, when they acquired him?
They got him from Milwaukee. I don't remember the trade.
That doesn't mean you're not a good player.
Michael Brantley was a player to be named later in the Sabathia trade.
Sometimes a player to be named later doesn't mean he's not a good player. It just, in a lot of cases, it means we're still negotiating over the last guy, and let's figure it out after the rest of the trade plays itself out a little bit.
I think Shane Baz was a player to be named later.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players.
He was traded for J.C. Mejia, by the way.
Yeah, the reliever. Yeah, that's right. To Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. And he's done nothing, so.
That was a good trade. There's just such a bottleneck right now.
I don't understand. Kyle Manzardo was your best prospect. He was
He actually can hit lefties.
He was your second best power hitter. He hit lefties early. Those numbers, obviously the batting average is not good. The OPS is just average. The home runs and ribbies are okay.
But he's not playing every day.
He's not playing. This guy is supposed to be your future. Why? You have 5 guys. You have absolute zeros in the lineup. Why is this guy on the bench for almost every game for the last week and a half?
Because they're facing lefties.
Can I give you some numbers? I just looked up his splits real quick.
Yeah.
This is his splits this season.
Yeah.
Lefties versus righties. Steve, you take his season stats and just leave them full, and I'll give you the splits, Manzardo. Against righties this season, twice as many games, but significantly more plate appearances. He has 173 at-bats against righties compared to just 35 against lefties. So drastic difference in the number of at-bats.
Yeah, sure.
But against righties, he has a 202 batting average, a 376 slug, and a 658 OPS. So significantly lower than here. Against lefties, he's hitting 229 with a 657 slug and a 974 OPS.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So why is he sitting against lefties?
To get David Fry in the lineup.
I mean, this is crazy. Of all the things, I don't know what Vogt's doing here. Maybe this is the front office telling him to do that. I don't know. The guy is your best prospect. He's on the team. He had a decent amount of success the first 2 months of the year, first 6 weeks. Why is he relegated to bench duty for David Fry, who can't hit? I got Angel Martinez, who hasn't done a thing in a month. I know Arias had a nice game yesterday, but he hasn't done anything for a month. You get absolutely nothing out of right field. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Nothing out of center field.
Part of it is Nolan Jones is out of options, and he's actually starting to hit the ball a little bit better lately. I just feel like they can't get the right combination of right-left balance. DeLauder's the lefty. Like if you bring him up, okay, because I kind of thought that no information on this, just kind of watching them. I wonder if because I said the other day, this team needs a jolt of some kind, and maybe bringing Chase DeLauder up while he's healthy and hitting and playing well is the jolt. But he's another lefty, so what are you going to do?
Here's absolutely what I would do right now, and Zach and I are in agreement on this. We talked about this on the Guardian Show Monday. I'm trading Carlos Santana. I know I'm not going to get much.
I said that a month ago.
Yeah, trade him. Well, I did too.
Yeah.
We were agreement on that. Let's do it. We're trading Carlos Santana, getting whatever.
And he's actually one of their few productive hitters right now.
Yeah, but right. Productive. Look how productive.
No,
right?
That's
I get what you're saying. Yes.
The last month he's been better.
Yes, he's been better.
He leads the team in RBIs for what it's worth.
Which is pathetic. That 35 RBIs at just about the halfway point of the season leads the team. That's insane. So I would trade Santana. I'd send Fry to the minors. I'd send what's his name? The kid, the other outfielder that's playing right now. They just called up recently.
Oh, Rodriguez?
I'd send Rodriguez to the minors. Okay? Here and what I'm doing is I'm playing a combination of Nolan Jones and Lane Thomas in center field. I'm putting DeLauder in right. I'm putting Kafis at DH, and I'm putting Manzardo at first base. And DeLauder, Manzardo, and Kafis and Kwan and Ramirez, they're playing every day.
Yeah.
And then I'll play Schneemann at second base, fine for now. And, shorts. I'd even call up Rocchio again, give him another shot.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick to all three of you guys, really? Jason mentioned having too many lefty, but they can't find the right mix of lefties, righties.
Yeah.
At this point, wouldn't you rather just have good hitters in the lineup?
That's all that matters.
Like, does it really matter lefty, righty if some of these guys can't hit?
No.
Baseball's become, and it goes back to the story I wrote last year on the death of the switch hitter. I'm just fascinated by it. The guys just don't switch hit anymore, especially Americans. American-born players don't switch hit. They do in Latin America. The fathers and the households make the kids switch hit at an early age. But we have become, in this country, so platoon happy with right, left, and it's so much more.
Well, there's too much in youth baseball. It's too much about winning and not enough about developing.
And I talked to Scott Service about that, the old Mariners manager, who said parents are spending thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars for their kids to get scholarships, and they send them to these academies and these tryouts. Why would you put them in a position to fail? And if you switch hit, you're going to fail.
Yeah.
But like you go back to the 80s, everybody switch hit. A lot of kids, a lot of players.
Every like non-slugger pitch hit. Switch hit.
So the fact that the decline in switch hitters now in baseball and the rise of this platoon thing and always trying to get the platoon advantage, I don't understand. Sometimes it works. Yes, sometimes I get it. But if you have really good players, I want really good players on the field. I said it last week when we had Mike Hargrove on the show. Hargrove in the 90s was famous for saying everyday players are everyday players for a reason. Because they're the best players.
I know.
And he still feels that way. Now, he's very old school, but when we had him on the show, I wanted to ask him about that because these platoons are so heavy now and so popular. And Mike's like, no, I still feel the same way. Regulars are regulars for a reason.
Yeah.
Why are you taking better players out of the lineup to
crazy.
Put lesser players in? I get like left on left and right on right. I get it. I just don't agree with it all the time.
I hate the left on left, right on right. Again, you want to sit a guy who struggles against lefties against the Tarek Skubal, the best lefty?
Fine.
I'll live with that.
Yeah.
But it can't be in every lefty because how many are really that good?
Especially younger guys earlier in their career.
I know.
I mean, look at you and I went around and around about Josh Naylor.
Yeah.
And by God, he figured it out because you gave him an opportunity to hit lefties.
But it did take him forever.
It did.
Because they weren't giving him an opportunity originally, and now... I
don't know his numbers this year.
I don't know his splits. I know he's having a solid year, not an amazing year, but solid year.
But Manzardo can hit lefties.
Yes.
And you're sitting him for a right-handed DH who's hitting 136.
It's just nuts.
You want Josh Naylor splits this year?
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Against lefties this season, he has 82 at-bats, He's hitting 232 with a 605 OPS. Compared to against righties, he's hitting 333 with a 927 OPS.
Not great. Last year, he came around and did much better against lefties.
Yeah.
But
he's a good enough player. They'll play him every day. And
because he's a good player.
Yeah.
Players
Last year against lefties, much closer, 715 OPS to 800 OPS.
You know, Cubs play the same lineup every day. Every day. Except for catcher.
If there's one spot where you want to platoon guys, where you have a lefty maybe who plays every day who really struggles against left-handers, and who was the right-handed hitter?
Brandon Guyer.
Yes. How did you know that? I was going to say the guy who got hit all the time.
Yeah.
Brandon Guyer absolutely mashed lefties.
Yes.
If you have a situation like that and you want to platoon one spot, okay,
but
fine.
at that time, I believe, if I remember correctly, that was the only platoon they had.
Yes.
And that's fine. One is fine.
Baseball has just become not
It's
all
so
of baseball,
crazy. No,
but the markets like Cleveland and
Yeah.
Tampa does this crap too.
It's
just
don't
they
understand.
become obsessed with platoons.
The Manzardo thing in particular is baffling.
Yeah.
I'd love to get an answer. The problem is you don't get a straight answer from Vogt on anything.
I'm not saying Vogt is overridden on this.
Yeah.
But I think organizationally, I think they all see it the same way.
It's crazy.
All right, Mike.
Let's move on, Bo. Before we get to our next topic, tell us a little bit about Menu RX, please.
Yeah, I spoke actually this morning with Dr. Jake May. We were talking about actually a new medication that I might be going on that would help with weight loss. It was an interesting conversation. And Jake is on top of all these things. He understands the struggle of those trying to lose weight because when he was younger, he was overweight. He's in good shape now. And so he can work with people that are trying to just get stronger or trying to just find what food fuels your particular body. See, if you go to a big box weight loss place or you follow some clown on the internet who's telling you about a diet that works for everybody, they don't know what they're talking about, okay? Go with a scientist, doctors, nutritionists that have studied this for a living, who understand that one size doesn't fit all. There's a different plan for everybody, no matter what you're trying to do. So find out for yourself today. Do what a number of others have already done, fans of this show. Go to menu-rx.com. Sign up for any of their programs. There's a good chance most health insurance companies in Ohio will cover it. If not, you can potentially use an HSA or FSA spending account. But if you sign up for any of the Menu RX plans today, you will get a one-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's a $60 value for $0. So go to menu-rx.com.
Thank you for that, Bo. WWE superstar, former guest on this very program, The Miz, a Cleveland native, was on the Rich Eisen show earlier this week. And Rich Eisen asked The Miz to give him a bold prediction for the Browns in 2025. And in typical WWE superstar fashion, if you ask for one prediction, you're not getting just one. You're getting a trio. So I'm going to give you the Miz's bold prediction, and we're going to rank which of his bold predictions we think are most likely to come true and which ones are the furthest off.
By the way, before you do that, I think it's funny because when the Miz is in character, you know, he makes fun of his hometown all the time.
Does he really?
Is he a heel?
Yeah,
and I don't know much about wrestling, but I know that. He's a bad guy now. I remember when he was here a couple of years ago.
He was awesome in studio with us last year.
He was great. But I took Aaron and another friend of his to wrestling, I don't know, like 3 years ago, wherever. They were here.
It was 22 because it was the first year UCSS for the show because I remember you had asked me about
And the entire crowd was chanting at him and booing him and going, and they were chanting, tiny balls, tiny balls. And my son and his friend thought this was the funniest thing they'd ever heard in their life. So I will never forget that. But he makes fun of Cleveland. And then there's that other guy who's from Cleveland. I think it's Johnny Gargano. Who he's a good guy, and I think he was fighting Miz that day or whatever. But I think it's funny because we all know in real life he loves Cleveland. It's his town.
Die-hard Browns
He's very
fan,
proud of it.
yes.
He's proud of the teams. He loves the teams.
I remember him from Real World. I watched.
Yeah.
Did you watch that
Same.
season? Yeah, I watched.
I must have, but I don't remember.
Oh, I totally remember him.
yeah.
He was on like
It was one of the first
one of the
years.
better seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
show
it
in the
was
first few years was amazing.
It was.
Yeah.
Way before its time.
Yeah, well, but now there's oversaturation of those type of shows.
Right.
But at the time, it was amazing. Go ahead, Mike.
Anyway, so The Miz, who is a legitimate diehard Cleveland sports fan, despite his in-ring persona, was on with Rich Eisen, and when asked for a bowl prediction, this is exactly what he said, quote, word for word. Quote, Kevin Stefanski wins Coach of the Year once again.
God.
Shedeur wins Rookie of the Year. Myles Garrett wins not only the Defensive Player of the Year award, but wins the entire MVP of the league. So we have Coach of the Year for Stefanski, his third time. Shedeur winning Rookie of the Year, and Myles to win DPOY and the actual MVP. Dustin, these are all very bold predictions of the three. Which do you think has the best chance to actually come true?
I mean, Stefanski could win Coach of the Year, I think, which would be kind of a bold prediction because he's already won it twice.
Yeah.
But nobody thinks the Browns are going to be any good this year.
No.
If they're to somehow make the playoffs or make a run, I think he could be Coach of the Year. Myles Garrett's great. Like, we know that. He could easily win Defensive Player of the Year again.
Sure.
He's not going to win MVP of the league.
No chance.
No chance that's going to happen.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Was there?
Shedeur wins Rookie of the Year.
I guess that's possible.
I mean, if Stefanski won Coach of the Year, it's possible that
but
Shedeur. It's unlikely he's going to play right away.
He could win Coach of the Year if Flacco plays great.
Right, that's true. Sure.
Yes. I think it's more likely they win like a bunch of games because Flacco somehow finds what he had, that magic 2 years ago, as opposed to Shedeur playing amazing. Because I think it's going to take him some time. As well as he's played so far in these mini camps and all that stuff, I think it's going to take him some time to actually be ready to go out there and beat out Flacco.
And even if he plays great, he's probably going to not play enough games this year to win Rookie of the Year. So
these are all nutty.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, this is also
he's on TV.
Yeah,
exactly.
Again, being a character.
Yes.
He loves Cleveland.
Yes.
He's a diehard homer.
I mean,
like,
last
we
year
love it.
he did one of those. I don't know what show it was on. You could find it probably. They did the schedule game with him, and he picked the Browns to go 17-0.
For sure.
So, I mean, that's what you're getting here.
Yeah.
The last time a defensive player won MVP was, I think, Lawrence Taylor in 1986.
Yeah, that never
40
happened.
years ago.
Right.
It's never happening.
No.
I mean, how many coaches have won Coach of the Year 3 times? I think Belichick's won it 3 times. I think
Belichick should have won it 10 times.
I know.
Probably.
I think Shula's won it 3, maybe even more than that. Shula might be more than that.
Only 2, according to a quick Google search. 3, excuse me. Shula, Chuck Knox, and Belichick.
I forgot about Chuck Knox.
Come on. Let's face it. Kevin Stefanski shouldn't have won 2 to begin with because Andy Reid should have won 2 years ago when they had very little talent around Patrick Mahomes on offense and just dominated and won the Super Bowl.
Shedeur is actually probably the most likely. And I don't think he's going to start enough games to be in the conversation.
If Shedeur played the full season, he actually – but he that would be the most – well, I mean, Myles Garrett winning Defensive Player of the Year is most likely, but I'm not kind of ignoring that. And obviously, he has no chance of being the MVP. Stefanski, if the Browns have another surprising year, because that's what it's not about who's the best coach. It's which was the most surprising good team. And but I just even though I didn't necessarily see it coming 2 years ago, I just don't see any way that's happening again this year.
Stefanski?
Yeah, for them to make the playoffs.
Oh,
I mean, what are the odds? So a percentage chance of the Browns making the playoffs, right? Less than 5% or 5%, maybe?
Around that.
I would actually put it higher just because this is the NFL.
So you think if they play the season 10 times, 1 time the Browns make the playoffs?
Yeah, maybe even 2. Like, it's the NFL.
I know, Jason.
There's injuries.
The AFC is loaded.
Teams slide in. Who saw the Broncos coming? Would you have given the Broncos a 5-10% chance to win? It would have been lower than that.
Probably not.
Not with the
So, and again, I don't think at all this team's going to the playoffs. I think they're playing for a draft pick. I've said that.
But the Broncos drafted a quarterback in the first round.
They did, but still, nobody thought they would be a playoff team.
Yep.
In the NFL, weird things happen. There's always a team that slides in at the bottom that nobody talks about and nobody sees coming.
Yeah.
I would actually probably put them around 20% to make the playoffs.
All right.
But
I don't think
this is one of those. I have no faith that they're going to be a playoff team this year.
So, none of those things are going to happen, unfortunately, and the Miz is crazy. Rich Eisen holds the distinction, by the way. This is fascinating.
Interesting.
He is the only sports talk person I've ever seen who is awful at talking about sports, but is very good at doing interviews, especially with actors. The only thing worth watching on his show is when he interviews actors.
Larry David's great on there.
Great. And he does those true or false stuff.
He has all kinds of actors on there, and they're actually really good interviews.
Excellent. But when he talks sports, I mean, you might as well, fall asleep. But
one thing I was going to say about the Miz giving a bold prediction.
Yeah.
Typically, when people are on shows and they're asked to give a bold prediction, it's like 75% of the time not very bold. It's like, the Browns will be competitive. That's my bold. Kudos to the Miz for actually putting his name. I mean, obviously, I don't think anything's going to come true.
But he's wrestling, he's entertainment, he's bombastic.
I'm just saying he actually gave a bold prediction.
He's trying to go over the top.
No, let's not make this topic more serious than it needs to be.
Again, he picked them to go 17-0 last year. How'd that work out?
It was a fun exercise, but let's not get carried away.
He was only 14 games off.
He was right there.
That's it.
He was right on the precipice.
By that much.
A couple plays go the Browns' way.
And he would only been
quarterbacks
10
get
games
abducted
off.
by aliens. Deshaun Watson plays better. He was right there.
Yeah.
He was not at the celebrity softball game last year. Johnny Gargano was. I wonder if the Miz is going to be there this year.
What celebrity softball game?
The Njoku celebrity softball game. That's tomorrow.
Oh, you said that as if I should have known that.
I was just more speaking.
Did anybody else know that the Njoku celebrity softball game was tomorrow?
Yes.
Are you going? Are you going?
No. Come on.
Who's going to be there of note?
Shedeur Sanders.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Joe Flacco.
Are they both playing?
They're confirmed guests, which last year confirmed guests did not mean they were actually playing.
Gotcha.
So who knows who's going to play or not. But
I'd like to see Joe hit a baseball. I mean, he's a big dude.
Oh, yeah.
Or softball. He'd probably hit it. I bet you could hit it.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell still had the best swing of anyone. I don't know if he's going to be there this year, but when he was there 2 years ago.
Donovan Mitchell loves baseball.
I don't know how seriously he took baseball.
But I know he's passionate about the sport. I don't know if he's any good at it.
Yeah, well, he grew up loving baseball.
Yeah.
His swing looks like he could play in the pros. I mean, if we're being honest, could he be that much worse than some of the guys the Guardians are putting at the plate right now?
Yes.
Yes, Mike. Let's not get carried away.
Just saying, he can hit a softball very, very far.
Okay, that doesn't mean he can hit a 101-mile-an-hour cutter on the black.
That's like saying you could be better than the slappies on the bench of the New Orleans Pelicans.
Not even close. Not even close. Speaking of the slappies on the Pelicans, that brings us to our next topic, and it's brought to us by Epicor. Today's episode is sponsored by the power of Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com. The Cleveland Cavaliers have some free agent decisions to make this summer. The top priority in terms of their current free agents is one Ty Jerome. And Bobby Marks of ESPN put out his projected contract for what he would offer Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
So, Jason, Bobby Marks said if he was running the Cavs, he'd offer Ty Jerome a 4-year contract worth $40 million, $10 million per, with a team option for that fourth and final year. If the cost for Ty Jerome is $10 million per for 4 years, is that a win-win for both sides? And do you think that deal is actually realistic for what Ty could get this summer?
Yeah, I think that's probably pretty close to the ballpark. I would actually go 3 years, 2 with the team option for a third year, just because that's sort of the window that the Cavs are in right now for contention, is the next 2 seasons. And I don't know that when you have really hard decisions to make after that, if you might be putting yourself back in the same spot you're in right now with Okoro and Dean Wade, more specifically Okoro, if you add a third year onto Ty, but you may need to give him that third year guaranteed to keep him, just because the offers that he might get elsewhere. So I would be a little bit more comfortable with 3 for 30 rather than 4 for 40, but that may leave the door open. I could see him leaving for more money. We've talked about before, this is his one shot to cash in. And obviously his season did not end well. The last 2 weeks of his season, he cost himself a lot of money, but he didn't lose the entire bag. He was still going to get paid this offseason. And I think the Cavs are going to make a really competitive offer. They've thought all year, like, we got to do what we can to hold on to this guy. And I don't think that you can let a sour 2 weeks at the end overshadow all the good that he did this year. Yes, it's only one big year that he had, so there's a little bit of a risk in that. We can go back to the David Fry conversation. You're banking a lot on a little bit of a sample, but they don't have a ton of other options right now. So I wouldn't be totally upset if he signed 4 for $40 with the team option in year 4. I just think 3 and a team option in year 3 is a little bit more manageable, but I understand that may not be enough to get it done.
Dustin?
I mean, that to me seems like a very reasonable number. I would have said $40 million was outrageous for this guy if you'd asked me like a month into the season. But the guy just continued to become like a vital piece on this team.
Yeah.
And he's not. I don't think he's just kind of a role player. I think he can like take a game over at times. I mean, he was a really big, impactful player for this squad this year. Big time games. When guys were out with injury or what have you, or even when guys just had off nights, he would step up. So I think you definitely need this guy on the team going forward. I mean, I'd pay more than that, frankly.
Well, I should have mentioned, obviously, the penalty implication, $1 is worth $6.
Luxury tax?
Yeah. So,
well, you know all that shit. I don't know any of that stuff.
I mean,
I hate the NBA salary cap stuff.
$10 million this year. Next year is actually more like, I think it's $60 million.
Okay.
That comes out of Dan's pocket.
$14 million turns into $62 for Dan.
Dan,
so I don't know
Dan
what
likes to
cares
spend.
about
He don't care. I mean,
I don't know what the 10 would be.
Well,
but
you only
14
care
to
if it
62.
means he stops spending.
Well, I'm just saying, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously no, we don't care.
Yeah.
But if they don't do it, that's a pretty valid reason
Right,
why.
right.
Do you want to spend $60 million on Ty Jerome this
No.
year?
but what's $20 million if it helps you win a title? Like, come on.
I mean, although that money is nothing to him, really, right? I mean,
$60 million is still $60 million.
no, not if you're a billionaire.
To these guys,
and not
it's still
and Jason, if you're Dan Gilbert, don't you want to win a title without LeBron?
absolutely 1,000% yes.
And you're not taking the money with you.
Yes, but and again, like, yeah, I would pay it. But I totally get, like, if somebody called me and said, "You really think we could spend $60 million? Like, Dan will justify spending $60 million on Ty Jerome?" Like, I get it. Like, yeah, I kind of get it. If
Well,
you can find a better
yeah,
option
but-
on a league,
but
on
like-
But they can't, though, right? Because they can't
it would
spend that
have
money
to
on
be
somebody else.
it would have to be a league minimum guy.
Right. So, I mean, is there a guy that's going to play for league minimum?
We had the Malcolm Brogdon conversation a couple weeks ago. I'll believe it when I see it with him. I don't think he's at that point in his career. I'll believe it when I see it. So, yeah, I mean, it's a tough spot.
Yeah.
So what was it, 4 for 40? I mean,
With a team option for the final year.
So really 3 for 30.
Correct.
3 for 30 with an option 10 for 10
Yeah, but
million.
I mean, look at the guaranteed. Throw the option out.
Yeah,
The guaranteed's 3 for 30. Okoro got 3 for 33 last summer.
Ty Jerome this past season was better than ever in any Okoro season.
Significantly.
Yeah.
So it would be a very comparable deal to what Isaac got.
Right. So it's,
It's the T.J. McConnell deal, by the way. That's the exact contract T.J. McConnell signed. 4 for 40.
Yeah.
Except
that's a
one
good
guy
point.
has come through in the playoffs, the other guy did not.
I mean, McConnell's also been in the league forever.
Yeah, that's true.
He's been, how many years has McConnell been in the league
I believe
now?
this is his 9th or 10th year.
Well, Jerome's been he's been in the league 4 or 5 years,
Yeah, but
right?
he hasn't played.
Well, I mean,
McConnell's played.
right, 'cause
Jerome
he's
had-
better. Yeah.
Okay, but everybody
this is his
progresses.
10th season.
Yeah. So they'll probably do it. Listen, I admitted this yesterday before we had the whole conversation about Mobley and Darius Garland.
And then we get into that after.
Everything with me for the Cavs is colored with my anger for the whole franchise right now.
That's obvious.
And that is factoring into everything I'm saying. I'm trying to be fair as always.
You had a
Maybe
wasted
I'm
year,
not.
man. You were locked into the regular
Yeah, and
season.
then
You
it
thought
just-
they were going to be something, and they were not.
Right. I think the whole team's a fraud besides Donovan Mitchell. And I just don't see. So let's get to Evan Mobley. They get Ty Jerome, because who cares? It doesn't really matter. Ty Jerome doesn't matter. He's not.
By the way, just my 2 cents, he's worth $10 million. Is he worth 60 to Jason's point? If Dan Gilbert decided not to, but you're not getting a better player than Ty Jerome on a vet minimum,
So,
I would give him that deal.
I mean, they have without him, who the hell's on their bench?
It's Craig Porter Jr. is your backup guard.
Yeah.
Like, that's about
okay.
it.
So,
And I mean, Jalen Tyson's probably going to get an opportunity anyway.
yeah.
But you're looking at Jalen
Yeah.
Tyson and thank God Garrett's not here, Amani, or something like that.
So let's get to this. you were pissed. I don't know if you were pissed.
No. It was funny.
Good.
Mike and I recorded a show yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I was golfing yesterday,
Yeah.
and Mike texted me, and he's like, Halliburton or Mobley? And I'm like, are you serious? Like, is that even a question? And I like Halliburton. Like, I said before, I think Halliburton's the next Jimmy Butler. An absolute killer in the postseason. Although,
And by the way, I'm not out on an island this because all those guys that voted in
the Ringer had Halliburton ranked number 7 in the NBA right now, which is wildly.
That is recency bias based on this police.
But listen, that's fine. But don't make it seem like I'm out on an island with this take.
Well, so I went and before we recorded the show, I started to watch the clip from yesterday.
Yeah.
And I saw where you said that Mike and I are obsessed with Mobley. That
Yes.
You're pissed that we're obsessed. That cracked me up.
Yes.
And I stopped watching. But that cracked me up because I'm like, I am not obsessed with Evan Mobley.
Yes.
You keep crapping on him and saying how much he sucks.
I'm not crapping on him.
You say
I
he
didn't
sucks
say
and
he sucks.
he's overrated, he's a fraud. How is that not
that sounds like a lot of crap.
So listen, can I jump in? Can I
please.
jump in? I know what you're saying. You're going over the top with it. But
that's true.
but I'm with you. Like something's off there. He's not as good as people think he should be. Or is. He's just not.
I'm not saying he's not good, Jason. Yes, I went over the top,
listen,
sure.
The guy's an unbelievable basketball player. He is. But I just don't think that you can win a title with that guy being the centerpiece.
Well, then they're screwed.
You guys have consistently said that.
Well,
I said their only chance that I believe of
Right.
actually winning a championship is if he is their number one.
And I agree with you guys, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
And I think he can. Well, that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
I think he can get there. I think there's a path for that to happen. But when you say we are obsessed with him, no, you just keep crapping on him. So we have to keep reminding you.
First of all,
Adam, he's actually a pretty good basketball player. And then it turns into we are.
Have you met Adam the Bull?
First of all, you guys know I'm just busting your balls.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, but number two, I'm not. I think crapping on him's a little strong.
You called him a fraud.
He is a fraud.
How is that not crapping on him?
All
You
right,
called him a fraud.
I am crapping on him.
I put a poll in the
Defensive
chat.
player of the year.
Does Bull constantly crap on Evan Mobley as of right now?
I'm just saying, I don't think he's a
yes, you do.
scrub. I'm not saying he stinks.
He was voted one of the 10 best players in the league.
He's not one of the 10
He
best
was
players
on
in
the
league.
second team All-NBA.
You think
that means?
Do you think he's really one of the 10 best players in the league right now?
No chance.
Do I think he's one of the 10 best players? Let's pull up the All-NBA.
Come on.
Let's pull up the
No,
All-NBA.
I said yesterday I don't think he's a top 10 guy right now.
No, come on now.
Top 20,
I think he's top 15 to 20. But I'm just saying.
But there's a big difference between top 10 and top 20. That's
now,
a big difference.
Right now, today.
I'm only talking about right now.
Oh.
He's never been better than that. You guys think he can get to the top 10.
This is who's
I
on
don't
the
think he
All-NBA
will.
second team. LeBron, Steph Curry,
Donovan,
Jalen
top
Brunson,
10,
Evan, and Anthony Edwards. Do you think Anthony Edwards is a fraud?
No.
Do you think Jalen Brunson is a fraud?
No.
Do you think Steph Curry's a fraud?
No.
Do you think LeBron's a fraud?
No. Of course
So it's just Evan. It's just Evan's the one that they got horribly wrong, right? Right?
No,
because that's the rest of the second team. That's the second team All-NBA that Evan is with.
Wait, how many guys are on the team?
5.
Well, that's 5.
That's second. So first team is 5. Second team is 5.
Who's the first team? You're the first team.
I got to find the first
If you
team.
call any of the first team guys fraud, it was Jokic, SGA,
Yeah.
Giannis.
Yeah,
Tatum.
Jokic, Giannis.
I believe I said
Donovan and Tatum.
I believe that what I said, correct me if I'm wrong, was that him being this great defensive player is fraudulent.
Yeah, he also said the defensive player of the year is a fraudulent defensive
It's fraudulent.
player.
It's a popularity contest. It's not about
No,
where's the season defining plays on defense.
there are times where I think, and as being a former voter
Yeah.
of all of these, I don't anymore, but I did.
Yeah.
I thought we got it wrong when Chris Paul kept winning. I talked about it because
Yeah.
they just it seems to swing.
Kobe won 1 MVP.
Okay,
How many MVPs did LeBron win?
4. He should have won.
4
every
should have
year.
won 15.
I voted for him every year.
That's insane.
But what? I mean, Chris Paul
Okay.
won Defensive Player of the Year because he got a lot of steals.
Right. Exactly.
And by the way, he chased so many others that he
Yeah.
put his team in bad positions
That's right.
defensively.
That's right.
I never thought he should be a
All
defensive.
right, now, so who's
So
up?
they can get it wrong.
Okay, so
But what Evan can do
Yeah.
defensively, yeah, I think he's absolutely in the conversation.
I just don't think, like, watching him play, and I don't profess to be an NBA expert. I admit this all the
Clearly.
time. I'm not a phony. I don't, like, when I think about the great defensive players in the history of the NBA, and I know the game has changed, so maybe it's not fair, there's guys that stand out. Evan Mobley doesn't stand out. on his defense? Where are the big plays?
Do you know part of the reason why
he shrinks often when playing against other good big guys? The few that there are.
You know, part of the reason why you don't see a ton of like highlight Mobley blocks, and I'm being genuine here. I'm just not a joke.
Yeah.
People are scared to go up against him. A lot of guys don't even try and same with Wemby. Wemby has these crazy blocks.
How do you know that? Have people told you that?
You can watch it in the
ask
game.
Anybody in the opposing locker room.
You can
when
see
they
it
play
in the game.
Cavs.
You can watch it in the game.
Bo doesn't watch the games, which is why he doesn't see.
I watch the Cavs. Unfortunately,
no, you can see guys pass up shots that they would take against somebody else in that position. If Kevin Love's in that position, dude's going up.
Will you admit he's not a dog at this point in his career, and not tough enough?
I don't think he's where he needs to be. I'll admit that. I don't think he's where he needs to be, but I think he took a massive leap last year, and I think there's more leaps to go. And the fact that, like, we did the show yesterday, I didn't mention this. The fact that Kenny is here all summer and he's not trying to win a medal with France, I think is a benefit to the Cavs. Like, they've got 1 year in Kenny's system now, and they made unbelievable strides in that 1 year. Yes, the season ended poorly, and that's something else we talked about yesterday. It'll air tomorrow during our slot here because there's no show tomorrow.
It's 11 a.m., no UCSS tomorrow, but Jason and I won an hour on the Cavs. So.
I just feel like the pendulum has swung so far the other way on the Cavs to where now people are just killing them and acting like they're a lottery team. Like, everybody just acts like the Cavs are this terrible team. They deserve plenty of scorn and ridicule for how the season ended. I agree with that. But they're still a really good friggin' team. And I just feel like we have swung so far the other way on the Cavs. I think it's gone too far. This is still a really, really good basketball team that had an atrocious 2 weeks at the worst possible
But they've
time.
only been good in the regular season, Jason. In the NBA, it doesn't matter. If you don't get it done in the playoffs, they haven't gotten past the second round.
I agree. And again, I think that's because it is a Donovan-led team. You know what the ceiling is on a Donovan-led team. It's the second round. We have plenty of proof, which is why it has to be Evan. Now, you can have the argument he'll never get there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if he never gets there, they're never going to win.
That's correct.
Because we know what the ceiling is. I am not sitting here guaranteeing you he's going to be a top 5 player in the league. I'm telling you, I see a path based on the leap he took in 1 year with Kenny in this system. If he takes another leap like that, which I think is possible, he will be the best player on this team.
If he doesn't do it next year, are you done with saying that it's going to happen?
I don't know. Well, like, what magic number are we talking about? Because he just took an enormous leap this year.
Yeah, but you know it when you see it. When he's dominating.
It's exactly it.
When he's taking over. He doesn't take over games.
He doesn't.
He's 23.
He's technically 24 because it's his birthday today.
Aren't there a lot of young players that are taking over games?
Yes, there are. But we act like it all has to happen at the same time with everybody. And that's just not how it is.
I don't know.
Another part of the takeover thing, too.
Well,
and by the way, it wasn't that long ago where I was starting to question, like, man, it just ain't coming. The last year with JB, some of his numbers around the paint and stuff were not where they needed to be. And I was like, man, I know it's in there, but why can't they get it out? And then last year you saw it start to come together. Progress isn't always linear with these guys.
I hear you. I would love to see his stats or whatever, his whatever stat analytics when he plays against Giannis, when he plays against Jokic, when he plays against
give
Zubac.
You that. Hold on.
I would love to know how he does against those guys because I feel like he's doing all kinds of dunking in people's faces when he's playing against scab teams. But when it comes to the big matchups, I feel like he rarely steps up.
Well, Jokic is going to torch everybody. That's why he's Jokic. Like, he's going to torch everybody.
If we're going to say that he's one of the 10 best players in the league, and that's what the voters said.
But Jokic is torching everybody.
Everybody.
Look at what he averages.
Doesn't Zubac hold up all right against him, if I remember correctly?
I don't know what the numbers are.
Zubac did all right in the playoffs, but I mean, Jokic still basically.
And by the way, hold on.
Jokic has won all his MVPs for a reason.
What was the all-first team? Who was in the first team?
SGA,
Tatum,
Donovan.
Yeah.
Jokic and Giannis.
Okay. All right. And now the second team is what?
LeBron.
Yeah.
Steph.
Brunson. Steph. Ant Edwards. Evan Mobley.
Are you really going to tell me that he belongs with those other 4 guys?
Well, here's the third team.
Yeah.
James Harden.
It was a bum.
Cat. Halliburton. Cade Cunningham and Jalen Williams, who's having a monster finals.
I mean, Cade Cunningham's better than Evan Mobley, right? Isn't that a no-brainer?
I mean, they were the same draft class.
I would take Cunningham over Mobley, but it's close.
What's that?
I would take Cunningham over Mobley, but it's close.
And by the way, Banchero is hurt, and if Banchero,
there's other guys who didn't make the. There's no way Evan Mobley's a top 10 player. Obviously,
I think he's in the top 15. I don't know about top 10, but I think he's a top.
Who
15
else
player.
couldn't make these lists because they missed too much time?
I don't have that in front of me.
There's a handful of guys better than Evan Mobley. Look at the other 4 guys in that list with Evan Mobley. He doesn't belong with those 4 guys. He's not close to any of those guys.
Sure, but he made it this year.
LeBron.
But should he have? No.
Yes, this year he should have. Yes.
What? You think he belongs there over Cade Cunningham?
Based on the fact that certain guys get eliminated, I thought he was one of the 10 best guys.
But you just said Cade Cunningham's better.
Bull.
Yeah.
It's not who's the best player. It's what did you do this season.
You think Cade Cunningham was better this season?
I think you make the case. He started worse and then got better towards the end.
Who did?
Cunningham. The whole Pistons team.
Okay.
They were terrible in the first half of the year. Remember, you were poo-pooing them all, and then they got better.
Let me ask you this. Are the how many games did the Pistons...
Because, by the way, if we're going by that logic, then Donovan's not an All-NBA first-team guy. Because I take Ant Edwards over Donovan, and I take LeBron over Donovan. I take Steph over Donovan.
So then he shouldn't be on the first team.
It's not how it
But
works.
it's not a career achievement award. It's for that season.
But I'm asking you so you think Evan Mobley was better this past season than Cade Cunningham?
I think Evan Mobley, if I had a vote, he would have been on my second All-NBA team last year, which is where he
So you
landed.
thought he was better than Cade Cunningham this past year?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
And I think Cade Cunningham's a better overall player.
We'll agree to disagree. Evan Mobley's got a lot more help around him than Cade Cunningham does.
Yeah. No one's arguing
Didn't Cade
that.
Cunningham average a triple-double?
No.
What did he average?
I don't have that tab up, but I get it up in a sec.
I mean, he came close to a triple-double, didn't he?
Averaging a triple-double? No.
Wasn't he like 20-something, 8 and 8?
He would have been an
whatever?
MVP competition.
He was 26,
6 and 9. That's not anywhere close to a triple-double.
It's better than Evan Mobley.
If Evan was on a team where he wasn't playing with some other guys that score as much, his numbers would look very different. And that's what I was trying to say.
So you want to kill him for his
early.
numbers that Cunningham's are better, but yet at the same time, you're punishing him for playing with better talent around him.
No, they both have to be factored in. Yes, Evan Mobley being on the Cavs caps his offense on scoring. But would he be 8 points more a game? If you flip Cade
on
Cunningham,
Charlotte, yeah, he absolutely could be 8 points more. Per
you
game.
think he'd score 8 more points a game if he were
a
on
bad
Detroit?
team? Yeah, absolutely.
I think next year he better be around.
Well, they're not a bad team. Detroit wasn't bad. They
I
they
said
weren't
Charlotte.
as good as the Cavs.
I said Charlotte.
Well, forget Charlotte. Who cares what you do on a bad team? If he were on Detroit,
He's probably scoring 23, 24 points a game.
I would like to say that, but JB's the coach, and but
That's a good point.
I think you got to remove that.
he certainly
I hear,
wouldn't average. What do you
Fair.
average? So he averaged 6 rebounds, 9 assists.
Cade averaged 6 and 9. Yes.
Yeah, and Evan Mobley averaged what?
18 and a half,
and 9.
9 and
3 assists.
Okay.
All right, well, we got our next guest.
All right.
Jason, I'm glad you got your anger out on Bull. Our next guest is a special guest. He's got some actual ties to the show. We're going to bring in Myles Simmons after a quick word from FanDuel. The NBA Finals are in full swing. Tomorrow could be the final game of the NBA season, so if you want to get in on the action before it's all said and done, you better download the FanDuel app. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com/UCSS and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you get $200 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Bull, why don't you introduce us to our guest?
Yeah, we've got Myles Simmons. Myles started his career as an intern on the Bull and Fox show, of course. And now he's gone on to great success. No longer with us, but it's been a long time. I still think of Myles as a kid because he's got a beard now.
It doesn't matter, dude.
But he's old
These
now.
guys who are a decade younger than us.
Yeah.
Like he started working with us. Myles, you were like what, 20, 19?
I was 21 or 22.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
you
you were
were,
senior.
No, I was
you were-
21.
you were-
I was 21. I was 21.
You're a
I was a
kid.
kid. I was a kid. Yeah.
You're how old now? You're 31?
33.
Okay. You're still a
Math
kid.
is
Time
awful.
flies,
Still
right?
a kid.
Time
I play
flies.
tennis with these guys who were like early 30s.
Yeah.
I call them kids.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
So
it's understandable. Hey, congratulations,
thanks,
Dustin.
Miles.
You know,
Appreciate it, buddy. I still follow all your stuff, man. So I'm so proud of you. All the amazing things that you've done. Not surprising, by the way.
Yeah.
We knew that you were so smart and talented. So it's and a great person. So
every other intern we had was basically useless.
Yeah,
I'm sure they
well,
appreciate hearing that.
that's because
the bar
every
was
other
low,
intern.
Miles. The bar was low.
True, but every other intern didn't come in when you just torn your Achilles and you needed your pillow fluffed and the meter filled and your car pulled around.
That's true.
Miles, can you hit the meter and then grab me a soda at the store downstairs?
Miles did take great care of me when I was injured, but I loved him anyway. Beyond that, because he was super duper smart and very hardworking, and we just knew he was going to be successful.
Oh, absolutely.
And now he's had this great success.
Enough with the flattery. My God.
All right, let's get to it.
Nobody cares anymore.
right.
Yeah.
You're right. You've outgrown the situation. Tyrese Halliburton or Evan Mobley? Who you got?
Evan Mobley. Because I don't think Evan Mobley's going to disappear like this. Like, why is it that, if you're a superstar, right, or even a star, how are you going to disappear, even when you have an injury? And, like, I respect the fact that, guys are going out there competing. Like, nobody is 100%, especially when you're playing in the NBA in June. But if you're Tyrese Halliburton, you got to score something. You can't disappear like that. So that, to me, like, I don't think Evan Mobley is going to disappear in these kinds of situations. And also, Halliburton's got a couple more years on him, doesn't he? So, like, it should be beyond this for Halliburton, where you basically are supposed to be the number one guy on your team. You can't disappear in the first half of Game 5 like he did, despite the injury. So,
I agree with your answer.
Evan Mobley's got two wins beyond the first round of the playoffs, but all right.
I agree with you on Mobley, but I do think – I don't want to derail this whole thing.
Yeah, we got to get to football, but go ahead.
I think calf injuries are the most underappreciated injury out there. You hear calf and you're like, it's just a calf. Get out there and play. But
no.
But I mean, you can.
It attaches to the Achilles tendon.
You screw around with calves, and you'll blow out your Achilles. I just think that this is one injury that people sort of roll their eyes at. That is absolutely legit. If he had a broken leg, would we be saying, "I can't believe he didn't score on a broken leg"?
No.
But I think calves are pretty serious stuff.
Especially for a basketball player, Jason.
Yes.
No, and you're right, because you need the lift in order to shoot, right? And I respect that. Like I said, I understand that he's injured. However, it's not, and I know he's been dealing with it, but this is not the first time that he's disappeared in key situations. And so that, to me, is the bigger difference. And I don't want to dismiss the injury, and I'm not. But, we're...
I mean, Mobley's the right answer.
I'm not a Halliburton.
Mobley's the right answer.
I mean, Halliburton's hit all these big shots. And what has Evan Mobley done in the play? All right, I'm going to let it go. You guys have your love affair with Evan
Mobley is also he's the third option, right? Halliburton is not.
I love this guy. He's got to be a regular.
He needs somebody
obviously
to get him the ball.
Attention. Well, okay, fine, but I just
Yeah. All right. The Cavs haven't won a big
the Cavs
game
didn't win
since LeBron.
They did not win this series. They didn't win the series that they needed to against Indiana. No. They did not capitalize on the opportunity that they had late in the game against Indiana in Game 2, and Halliburton did. Now, we can talk about the officiating in that too, and I'm not a big blame the officials guy, so I won't do that, because when you have the lead that the Cavs had in Game 2, despite who was missing, right, you got to close that out. And if you can't, then you have to look internally and ask yourselves, well, why is that? And you can't blame the coach again this year. So, look internally, and it's kind of like what the Dolphins are doing right now, as I will make the transition to football.
There you go.
They're trying to get this culture change, right? And okay, Mike McDaniel's been there a few years. He had the high-flying offense. You got speed, but now it's, culture, all right? We got to look internally, and we got to say, what is our culture? How do we change our culture? How do we make sure that we're a little bit tougher in those situations? You got guys like Bradley Chubb saying, we might have talked about that last year, but we were lying. Well, I mean, that's, to me, is the kind of thing that the Cavs need to do. You got to look internally and look at yourselves and say, hey, why is it that even though we can have a lot of success in the regular season, right, and then we beat, the bejesus out of Miami, as we should have, as the number 1 overall seed, then we go and we pee down our leg once the competition really starts ratcheting up. You got to look internally and say, hey, how do we solve this? And that, to me, is going to be the biggest thing, for the Cavs going into 2025, 2026.
All right, well said,
All
Myles.
right, before we
go to football.
Let's go football, and I'm going to start with Pittsburgh because the Rodgers thing's fascinating to me. Obviously, they don't have an answer at quarterback right now, so they bring in Rodgers. They actually have weapons at wide receiver. Defensively, they're really strong. You know, is this like the last hurrah for Tomlin? Like, if they can't win with Rodgers this year, you think he survives?
Yes, because I think in Pittsburgh they value that stability over most things. And it's not like they're going to be bad, you know? And so are you really going to say, all right, Mike Tomlin, win in the playoffs or else? Like, some teams might do that. I don't think Pittsburgh will do that just based on the way that organization runs. And if they had Mason Rudolph, I think that they could still go 7-10, 8-9, potentially 9-8. Like, that's just the kind of team that Mike Tomlin coaches. But if you sign Aaron Rodgers, and even, you know, plus 40 Aaron Rodgers, that's somebody that you feel like should be able to get you 10, 11, 12 wins. Especially if you're good on defense and you can run the football, then that guy should be able to play in the pocket, get the ball to DK Metcalf, get the ball to Pat Freiermuth, and move the ball down the field effectively. I don't know how effective Rodgers is going to be, but it seems like this is going to be a better fit, a better match for what his skill set is at this point in his career and like what that team needs than the Jets were for him last year and probably even 2 years ago before, you know, he blew out his Achilles in 4 plays.
Myles, let's talk about the culture on the Browns, which has been pretty much crap for 30 years. Kevin Stefanski.
Except for 2023.
What was that? Except for 2023?
Late 2023, man. Those vibes were high.
They were
great.
2020.
Late 2020 and late 2023.
Yes, also true. Yeah.
Outside of that, it's been basically 3 decades of bad vibes. But now you're trying to get the good vibes back. They brought in a record 4 quarterbacks to try to compete here. The Shedeur Sanders thing is crazy. There's a camp of fans that couldn't love him more. There's a camp of fans that don't want to hear anything about him. It's crazy. What do you make of the whole Browns quarterback situation right now?
I go back to the draft and I hate the strategy. I mean, I don't like if you are going to draft a rookie quarterback, right? And you're going to draft that rookie quarterback in the 3rd round. First of all, I didn't love trading out of number 2 overall to pick up, you know, when you could have a guy in Travis Hunter who seems like a ready-made superstar, like a true blue chip guy that you can't just bring into your building, you know, under most circumstances. I get though, I can understand that strategy, right? I get trading out of number 2 to number 5. You pick up another 1st round pick. If the Jags are bad this year, that means that could be potentially another top 10 pick, right? Like that I get the strategy of that. And, you know, everybody says that the defensive tackle out of Michigan, really good, you know, so like if he comes in, pairs well with Myles Garrett, that can be a W for you, especially picking up another 1st round pick next year. I can even justify picking Dylan Gabriel in the 3rd round, right? If you really believe that he is a high quality backup, fine. Like, I don't necessarily think that. I watched a lot of OU because one of my best friends out here is a big OU guy, so I watch a lot of OU college football. I don't necessarily see it. Watched enough Oregon last year to think like, yeah, he's got good talent, but when a guy is frankly that short, like it makes a difference. And when he's short and a lefty, that is like 2 things that are really working against you, I feel like. So if you think he can be a high quality backup in the 3rd round, all right, fine. But then to come back and trade up for Shedeur Sanders when there's just not enough reps to go around to develop 2 guys that are that young, like that's just it's where I just am confused in the team construction, because you're telling me you would rather have this extra quarterback and you're basically taking a flyer on the QBs, and I get it because of the albatross that is Deshaun Watson. But when you're constructing a team and you've got the holes that the Browns have, and you say to me basically, all right, well, we don't think this late round pick is somebody that can come in and be a rotational player on defense. He can't come in and, you know, play special teams. We'd rather have this QB who is either going to somehow beat out these other guys that we have brought in, or we can develop, but also we've got another developmental QB. Like, that's where the strategy just boggles my mind, and I don't get it. But now that we're here, right, I think it makes sense that they are trying to give as many reps as possible to both of these guys. Joe Flacco, gets less reps because he doesn't need them, right? We know, and they know in the building, how Joe Flacco can operate an offense. You don't necessarily know how it is with Kenny Pickett or with Gabriel or with Sanders. And now, you use two fields and you split up the 7-on-7 and you do all this. And that's well and good, but the strategy still, to me, from the team construction standpoint, is what is the most bothersome. And it all goes back to number 4, right? If you weren't in that situation with number 4, then it would be very different. And I understand that. But that's where I don't love the principle of drafting 2 mid-round quarterbacks. I don't love it when people are like, oh, it's been done before. Like, no, it hasn't. Nobody does that.
Well, and now it looks like, and it's early, I know, but I mean, I'm talking to people that are out there at practice, are like, man, the Browns realize that Shedeur is much better than Dylan Gabriel. Which is like, kind of makes you think it was a wasted pick.
You sure they know that?
I mean, based off what I've heard, I don't know that they for sure know that. But so far, the returns are like, yeah, he's pretty good. Shedeur, talking about Shedeur. I don't know. I mean, to me, it's at pick 94, you could have got a linebacker, you could have got a safety that probably could start for you. Instead, you got a quarterback that may never touch the field.
Wide receiver?
Sure.
Yes, and that's the other thing about it, right? Like, if you value Shedeur Sanders so much that if he continues to fall, it's like, oh man, well then why couldn't you draft somebody that you really feel like you could use in late 3rd round, and then maybe you come back in the 4th round to draft him? That's where it's a team construction question, right? It's a process question. The result may end up being very good for the Cleveland Browns if they figure out that Shedeur Sanders can be a franchise quarterback for them. Like, that could be great. I don't know how you're going to figure that out this year, right? If you go into the season with Joe Flacco at quarterback, if Shedeur Sanders can't beat them out, it's going to be tough for him to secure the week 1 starting role. Again, this is a 5th round pick, right? It'd be tough even for Dylan Gabriel as a 3rd round pick. And Kenny Pickett, God love him, he still has starting experience. So that means they've got to jump you got to jump another rookie, you got to jump a young vet, and then you've got to jump the old vet who knows what the Browns are about and knows what Kevin Stefanski is about as a play caller. All that is very difficult. And if you can't do that then okay, week 8, the Browns stink and they want to put in a new quarterback. Then that also means that the team stinks and it's not going to be advantageous for a young quarterback to be in there. So all of this is, like I said, it's team construction, it's process. Do you have a really good plan to develop young quarterbacks so that they can then be successful? I don't know how you do that with 2 mid-round picks. I just don't.
So, Myles, I'm of the belief they traded down because they're taking a quarterback at the top of the 1st round next year, period. End of discussion. Yes. It's on these guys to change their minds on that. It's on Dylan and Pickett and Shedeur to change their minds on that. So what in your mind is how should this go? If there's 17 starts, how many should Pickett get? How many should Flacco get? How many should Gabriel get? And how many should Shedeur get? And is there going to be one that's squeezed where the answer at the end of the year is 0?
I
know I'm asking you to look into a crystal ball.
No, I know, but it's a good question, right? Because, again, it's the process of this. How should this now play out given what the circumstances are? And, if there were 16 games, it'd be a lot easier to say, okay, well, Flacco can start the first 4 and just kind of get us off the tee, put us on the runway, and then maybe we'll see what happens. But then we don't really have that anymore. So, I mean, I guess I could still say that. And then whoever has the hottest hand, gets the last start in, where are they going to be this year? Pittsburgh, since I don't remember. Whoever the division rival is in week 18. And, they're probably on their way to the playoffs and the Browns are not. And, then you got to figure that out. But, I think it would probably behoove the Browns to start off with Flacco. And if it just so happens that they're good, stick with Flacco. If it happens that they're not, which, I mean, then at week 8, or so, then you've seen what these guys can do in the building. You see who has probably a better understanding of the offense, and that's the rookie you go to. Kenny Pickett, I'm not buying that he can be a franchise guy at this point. And if he goes on and he is that for somebody else, then I think that's okay. It's not like the Browns drafted and developed him from jump. And, they didn't draft him with the 20th overall pick and then have to go sign Aaron Rodgers a couple years later because their quarterback situation still stinks. So that's one thing. Because the quarterback class is going to be so much better next year in 26 than it was this year, that's where I understand that you want to quote unquote see what you have in these younger guys that have already come in and that are already draft picks that, ostensibly could be wasted if you then go and draft whoever at the top of the first round next year, right? Whether it's Arch Manning, whether it's Drew Aller, whether it's Nussmeier, any one of those guys. That to me is you got to figure out something, but it's also unfair for young rookie quarterbacks who were not first round picks to then kind of be thrust into a situation that they're probably not going to be prepared for, especially if it's a bad team. They were drafted in the 3rd and 5th rounds for a reason. And if people thought that they really had great starter potential, then they would have been drafted much earlier. And that doesn't mean that they can't develop into that, but I think putting either one of those two young guys in a disadvantageous situation and then saying, this is your chance, go. Is that really fair for career development? I don't know that it is.
All right, Myles, I would like to wrap up with you ripping the Bengals for not having Trey Hendrickson and Shamar Stewart signed right now, even though Shamar sounded like an idiot when he spoke at Bengals minicamp. Can you rip them? Do you think they should be ripped for those things?
Absolutely. Trey Hendrickson also didn't necessarily come off well when he was standing to the side of an OTA and talking to reporters, which was very odd in golf
both
attire.
of them just shouldn't have come. Yeah.
Right. But I think the way the Bengals have played this is bizarre, especially considering what they did earlier in the offseason with not just re-signing Jamar Chase to the extension that we all knew he should get, but also bringing back T. Higgins. Right? They listened to Joe Burrow and basically were like, okay, yeah, Gesicki, Chase, Higgins, we'll do it. But then, they're messing around with Trey Hendrickson, who led the league in sacks, and sacks are not everything. And I know, that we could get into a debate between two other really good edge rushers in the AFC North about that. But he still made the plays when they were there. And if he's got those numbers, and you now see, Myles Garrett is making $40 million a year. The market is the market, as Tua Tagovailoa said, and that's why he's making over $50 a year. Right? Yep. So if the Bengals do not want to pay Trey Hendrickson, then trade him. Right? That's one thing. The Shamar Stewart stuff is just stupid. Yeah. Why are you digging your heels in on something like this where you have had this esoteric contract language in deals for previous first-round picks who were drafted lower than Shamar Stewart? This is ridiculous. I don't understand why you're digging your heels in on somebody that is going to sign a rookie deal, right? That if he's good, none of this is going to matter anyway. And you damn well should think that he's going to be good given the kind of draft capital that you use to go get him. So all of this does not make any sense to me from that standpoint. I don't know why you're messing around with two guys on defense who are supposed to make you better after you were so bad on defense last year that you wasted an MVP caliber season from Joe Burrow. You wasted an offensive player of the year caliber season by Jamar Chase, right? And you also had a guy in Trey Hendrickson who, again, led the league in 17.5 sacks. What are you doing? Did you bring in Al Golden just to be defensive coordinator so that he wouldn't have the kind of chess pieces he needs to be successful? I don't understand what the Bengals are doing with these two defensive ends, and they need to cut it out.
Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, if the Bengals defense was below average last year, they win 10, 11 games, and Joe Burrow wins the MVP unanimously. And it's just stupid. And it's weird because I used to say they would just cheat, but they're really not. I mean, they're middle of the pack in terms of spending, which a lot of people wouldn't think, and nobody expected them to sign Higgins at all. And for them to just with Hendrickson, what are they dickering over? $5 million a year? I mean, they want to pay him, I think, 28. He probably wants 35. Like, split the difference and let's go here. I mean, what is happening? It's just ridiculous.
Well, like I said, if you're not going to pay him, then trade him. Because now, with every day that we get closer to the season, his trade value diminishes.
I know, but you got to just sign him. They got to just sign him. You can't mess around. He's their best player.
I agree.
It's ridiculous.
I agree.
All right. Thanks, Myles. Yeah. Good stuff,
Myles.
Buddy.
Thanks, buddy.
All right.
We'll see you later.
Take care, fellas.
Myles Simmons does a great job covering the NFL. Mike, I want to spend a minute real quick talking about what happened.
We can react to that.
No, actually, no. I mean, I think we covered it. Is there something you wanted to follow up on?
No, where do you want to go?
No, I just want to talk about the Caitlin Clark thing for a minute. Or is that overtime or something?
We could do that. We could do it for a sec, yeah.
Yeah. I just did you guys see what happened last night in that game?
Last night, no.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, I saw it.
So, I bring it up even though I'm saying like everything gets blown so out of proportion when it comes to her.
Yeah.
You know, good and bad, and much like Shedeur Sanders, people have their camps on Caitlin. I just hate where we're at as a society because too many people are just whether it's politics, sports, whatever, they're in their camps and they just don't want to hear anything outside of their silo on both sides, and it's so annoying. And like Caitlin Clark is a great story, and obviously she's a great player. But my God, if you touch her at all, half the fan base loses their mind. If she gets clobbered and anybody complains about it, then the other half loses their mind. The coverage is ridiculous.
Polarizing, man.
It's so stupid. I get that there's some resentment from other players for her. I get it. They've been playing this sport. They're really good. Some of the top players, they get no recognition. I get it. I'd be pissed off too if I was in that situation. Sometimes some of the reaction from some players is over the top. The initial foul on Caitlin Clark. Now, I do think Caitlin Clark sometimes overreacts to these fouls as if she's been egregiously harmed every time. And the initial foul, there's this guy Patrick who does sports talk in Houston, Patrick Creighton. He's a huge Caitlin Clark fan, and I'm friendly with the guy. We've because we both grew up in the New York area. I never met him personally, but we've communicated over the years. And every time she gets touched, he goes bananas. And he was like, he said the girl yesterday, I don't remember the girl that fouled her initially, poked her in the eye on purpose. I'm like, poked her on the eye on purpose? First of all, how would you know that?
You can't even do that.
If you and I were playing pickup basketball and I even tried to poke you in the eye on purpose, that'd be pretty tough to do.
Yeah, you'd miss and hit me in the nose.
Exactly. So that's number one. Now, when the second girl comes in, that's crazy. She should have probably been ejected from the game for that.
Yeah.
Or at least gotten I don't know what. The point is, and then the things spiraled. I kind of like the fighting and the toughness. I like it, but the league needs to get it under control. But also, Caitlin Clark could take some hard fouls. It's okay. We don't have to get up in arms every time she gets fouled hard. But when it's over the top...
I think there's a difference in a hard foul and a flagrant.
Exactly. When it's over the top, it's got to be dealt with. And when it's not over the top, we got to take it down a notch.
I'll be honest, I enjoy watching her play. I think she's
great.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
All of the other crap around it has turned me off to the point that I don't care.
But I feel like
I don't engage.
I hear you.
I'm just so disgusted by all of the crap around it. It takes away from her greatness on the court, and it makes me not even want to watch. I don't even watch.
And that's unfortunate. I think a lot of the other stuff has been created by people that weren't really WNBA fans.
No, they weren't.
Nobody
was a WNBA fan. Who was a WNBA fan?
There was a... I get what you're saying. You're exaggerating, but
not by much.
No, people use this for their own agendas, man.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. It's just so freaking annoying. It really is. But I don't know. I like the feistiness of the game. Then she hits a big three in that girl's face later in the game. Anyway.
She talks a lot of shit. Man. She backs it up, and that's her style. It's not going to go away, and a lot of times it's on the refs to control it early so it doesn't escalate to levels where...
But she also sometimes milks the fouls.
Oh, 100%. They all flop. Every player in basketball flops now.
Yeah. But she loses her mind every time she gets touched.
Have you seen LeBron?
Yes. Of course, and I complain about that all the time, too.
He does the same thing.
I hate it.
I love the guy, but yes, he flops.
He's the biggest flopper.
Yes.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Although nothing's as bad as soccer. You see these guys in soccer? Oh my God!
Yeah.
Why are you
They
watching soccer?
jump up.
You're watching soccer?
I've seen it on highlights.
Okay.
You know, I don't know. I don't actually sit and watch soccer.
Yeah.
But you see these guys, they barely get touched. They go flying on the ground.
Yeah.
So funny.
Bull, tell us about Menu RX, and we'll get to our next topic here.
Dr. Jake May and his team at Menu RX, they're studying nutrition. That's what they do for a living. It's not some idiot on the internet who, had his own plan for himself that maybe worked, maybe didn't. And now he's conning you to follow him on Instagram or TikTok, and he's convinced you and the other idiots that he's, an authority on weight loss or an authority on nutrition or body chemistry. I actually have real experts for you, scientists, doctors, nutritionists. They study this for a living. How about that? Science, real things, facts. Dr. Jake May and his team do a great job, whether it's to help you lose weight, get in better shape, tighten up your abs or whatever, or just find the food that will fuel your body properly. Metabolic testing, and a lot of what they do is covered by health insurance. In fact, Jake was in town a couple of weeks ago. He's from Cleveland originally, and he was in town to kind of talk with trainers in the area and some of the insurance companies in the area. And now most insurance companies in Ohio will cover Menu RX on your health insurance plan.
Nice.
HSA and FSA spending accounts as well you can use to pay for the treatments. Well, not treatments, but the plan. So go to menu-rx.com today. Sign up with any of their plans. Get a 1-year membership to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show absolutely free. That's menu-rx.com.
Thanks for that, Bull. The NBA Finals Game 6 could be the last NBA game of the season, is set for tomorrow night.
Yeah.
And I've had a complete change of stance watching this series on something that is related to the Cavs. I'm going to ask you guys a question first to then get to the final point. And Jason, I'll start with you as my partner on the Ultimate Cavs show. In today's day and age of the NBA, can you pay a non-offensive creator $20 million or
Well,
more?
hang on. Why don't you go first on this?
Fine.
Yeah,
I
why
will
don't you go
go
first?
Because I was actually I meant to do this before the show, and I just looked it up now on where Jarrett ranks. So you tell me
Jarrett ranks in terms of what?
salary in the NBA.
Where does he rank?
I'll tell you when I want to hear
He's
his.
gonna tell us later. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
because I'm
Jarrett's
curious-
set to make $20 million this year.
Yeah.
$30 million each of the next 3 years after
Yeah.
this. I don't think there is a cookie-cutter version of you need to build a team in this mode to win a championship. We're about to see the 7th different champion in 7 years. Parity has never been bigger than it is in the NBA right now, and each team has been built in different ways. However, the most common similarity between those last 7 and between a lot of the teams that have had success, not necessarily championships, but have had a lot of success over the last couple of years, is that at any given point, the 5 guys they have out on the court can create offense. And you've seen in this finals, Isaiah Hartenstein, who the Thunder paid $30 million this offseason, has seen his minutes cut drastically because he's been the point of attack of Indiana's offense, and he brings not a lot from the other end of the court in terms of his ability to create offensively. Myles Turner has been played off the court in this series, dominated earlier in the playoffs, was great against the Knicks, was great against the Cavs, has not closed the majority of games in favor of Obi Toppin because OKC was attacking him, and he was unable to create offense. The best teams in basketball right now.
Let me ask you a question, Mike.
Yes.
When you say they were attacking, you say Myles Turner is not good defensively?
He's a good shot blocker.
Yeah.
He's not good on the perimeter. So they're trying to create these switches to where he's trying to guard SGA
They were
on the
attacking
perimeter.
him, in other words, by forcing him out into the
forcing him out of the
basket.
paint,
Away
bringing
from
him
the
out.
basket.
Thank
Correct.
you for the clarification.
Which is what happens all the time. People attack. But
Gotcha.
it's not just
And they were doing the
that.
same thing with Hartenstein.
exact same thing. And they're doing it against Chet Holmgren. However,
Right.
the difference between Chet Holmgren and the other two is Holmgren could create offense for himself.
Okay.
The best teams, not just this series, in this season, the best lineups, the best teams over the last couple of years, have had 5 guys on the court that can initiate offense. So if you try and shade your defense to force the ball out of player X's hands, you have 4 other guys capable of initiating offense. And I think when you look at the second apron, the hard cap, all these financial decisions that you're going to have to make to put a proper team together, I don't think paying a non-initiator is worth $20 or more million.
Okay.
And I go back to Rudy Gobert as the prime example because
Yeah.
Rudy Gobert gives you nothing on offense, is an elite rim protector, is a great screener, but has been year after year after year played off the court in the playoffs because you essentially play 4-on-5 when he's on the court. They just refuse to guard him.
Right.
Jarrett Allen brings you more offensively than a Rudy Gobert. He's not the same level of defensive player, not the same level of rebounder as Rudy Gobert. But I think in today's day and age of this free-flowing offense where you need to be able to score down the stretch from different guys because defenses tighten up so much, and I know, well, you said you haven't watched a ton of the finals. I would recommend watching some of these fourth quarters. They've been incredible in OKC's defense.
It's been a phenomenal series.
In the fourth quarter has been just magnificent. They know Halliburton wants to do X. They are taking it away, and Indiana doesn't have enough creators to then force OKC's defense to suffer for shading so heavily in that direction. I don't think it is a smart roster-building strategy right now to invest that kind of money in a player that can't initiate offense. And I say that to bring it back to the Cavs. I was on the whole boat of, if you're going to break it up, Jarrett Allen's the first guy to go, but if it's not the right deal, okay, I understand. I think I've changed to, I don't think Jarrett Allen can be part of a championship construction of a team, not because of anything Jarrett Allen doesn't do, or not because of what he does do.
Well, yes, it is because of something he doesn't do.
It's not because of what he does do. He is valuable. He's worth $20 million in a vacuum, but the Cavs need other guys who can initiate offense, and that $20 million can be spent better elsewhere, in my opinion.
But, Mike, I would argue that he's not valuable. You're saying he can't be on a winning team. So why would any team want him?
Because you still need a center at some point.
Why? You just said you can't win that way in the playoffs.
I don't think you can close that way in the playoffs.
This is a it's a very nuanced argument.
Okay.
I think.
Let me just ask him one more thing.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Is what I'm saying make sense? Do you guys?
I get what you're saying, but I want a little more clarification. So if Donovan Mitchell is 1 through 10 scales, Donovan Mitchell in terms of being a creator is a 10, right?
Yeah.
Jarrett Allen's a 1?
It's like a 2.
Or whatever.
1, 2,
I guess it doesn't matter, 1 or 2. What is Darius Garland a 10? Is he a 9? Like what is he?
He's an 8-9.
What's DeAndre Hunter on that scale?
6, 7.
5, 6, 7, somewhere in that range.
All right, so let's say 6. That's kind of in the middle of what you guys are saying. What's Evan Mobley?
6, 7.
What number do you have to be above to be a player who could be in the closing number, in the closing group?
I'll go Obi Toppin because the Pacers are closing games with
Yeah.
Obi Toppin now instead of Myles Turner.
Right. What's he?
I think he's a 5. I think you got to be at least a semblance of a creator, a guy that you cannot leave because if the defense leaves you, you can make them pay. I don't think, and Jared plays around the basket, he's not on the perimeter, so it is slightly, it's not exactly apples to apples, but I think you have to have some semblance of the ability to initiate offense to be part of a championship closing lineup. And I don't think Jarrett Allen has that in him.
So, in other words, if you had a team that...
Which, by the way, goes back to my whole big picture of the Cavs' best closing lineup is Evan at the 5 with 4 other shot makers around him.
Right. Would you rather have a team with 5 7s or 4 8 through 10s and one guy that's 1 or 2? Is that too complicated?
I would take 4 8 through 10s.
Did I go too extreme on that?
I think it's too extreme, yeah.
I can't follow it.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is...
talking about girls?
Ultimately...
But it's like, go back to Gobert.
How many
Gobert's won Defensive Player of the Years and elite
Right, but
rebounder.
you're saying he's basically useless when it matters.
Yeah. Gobert's
so
basically
every player in the NBA, who's the best player in the NBA that can't create his own offense, really? Who's below a 5? Best player in the NBA who's below a 5. Is it Gobert?
Jason Ants,
Who do you
go
think?
and I'll think of an answer.
I'm so confused right now. Say it again.
Same.
Who is the best player in the NBA? So Mike said if you're below, let's say a 5, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, he said Obi Toppin's a 5 in terms of being able to create. Mid-tier. You got to be at least mid-tier to be in the closing lineup right now in the NBA. But guys like Rudy Gobert and Jarrett Allen, they can't. They're below a 5. Whatever. Yeah. I guess it's irrelevant whether you're 1 through 4.
Either you can get your own shot or you can't.
Right. Some
really
guys are better than
scary.
others, but can you do it ultimately? So I'm asking, who's the best player in the league that can't? Is it Rudy Gobert off the top of your head?
Off the top of my head.
I think Zubac.
Okay, Zubac. So is Zubac? So if Zubac is the best player that can't create his own offense, is he a useless player? Like when it matters in the NBA playoffs?
But this is why it's so nuanced.
Yeah.
Because you can't totally ignore defense. You can't.
Right.
But offense is more important. Like we talked about this before. It's easier to win in the NBA with elite scoring and average defense. You can't be at the bottom.
Right, sure.
But just average.
Sure.
But it's a lot harder to win in the playoffs with elite defense and very average offense.
Right.
Scoring matters.
Yeah.
And to that point, and when the Cavs first signed Jarrett to the first extension, when they first traded for him and they first signed him to this deal that's about to expire, I kind of along Mike's line of thinking, I thought that's a lot of money to play to a guy who may not be on the floor in the playoffs, because you can scheme guys like that off the floor in the playoffs. But they're still they still hold value, and there's still a valuable role for them. We can't just act like the first 82 games don't matter at all. They do. And you still have to play well enough to get there. And there's times where Jarrett Allen can help you depending on the matchup. There's times where Jarrett Allen can help you in a postseason series. Now, do you want him on the floor in the last 2 minutes of a one-possession game? You can have that argument. I'll hear that because, I think the Cavs are at their best with Evan at center and 4 shooters around him. But at the same time, he's the 84th highest paid player in the NBA. That sounds about right to me.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound outrageous now.
Yeah.
And I think the Cavs had a little bit of foresight with that when they signed him to the deal of where salaries were headed. Now, when he jumps to $30 million in a year, you can have that conversation. Is he worth that much? But at $20 million, I think he has grown into where the salaries have gone. 84th highest paid player in the league to me doesn't sound outrageous.
So I'm going to disagree with you on one thing you said there. I don't think, I think it's proven once again that the regular season does not matter at all. Because you said you have to get there. In Major League Baseball, in the NFL, it's hard to get there because not that many teams make it. In the NBA, it's so oversaturated that there is not any team that can't make it into the dance is not good enough to win anyway.
Okay, but here, if the Pacers win, if they rally and win,
right,
they will be the first team in 30 years to win with 50 regular season wins or fewer. Think about that.
Okay.
So it's not just anyone who gets in can win.
But
it's not. And if the Thunder win, Mike, give me the stat. If the Thunder win, they will be the
13th
I feel like
team.
Billy Bean and Moneyball. When I point to you, talk.
That was good. That's true.
They'd be the 13th team in the history of the league to win 64 or more regular season games with an average margin of victory of 9 points or better. There's only been 16 teams that have ever done it. The Cavs were one of those teams this year and did not win the finals.
Okay, I think.
But 13 of 16 tells you that it matters.
The 30 years is. I'm throwing that away, and here's why. You tell me if you agree or disagree. In the last 10 years, I don't know when exactly we went over this line.
Yeah.
But some point in the last 10 years, maybe it's only in the last 3 or 4 years.
It is. I know. If you're
the
going
game
where
has drastically changed.
It's the last 3 or 4 years.
Okay, so it's the last 3 or 4 years. I think what happened before that is like it's a different sport almost.
But why didn't a team with 49, 50, 51 wins win it in the last 3 or 4 years then?
No, I can't answer that. It's a good point. That's a good argument. I'm just curious to see, as we go forward the next 10 years, if we will start to see more teams that that are not necessarily the one seed more often win.
Yeah, I think that 10 years from now, we may look back on the start of this era, of this parity era. But even still, and I would say, I don't know what the number is. I feel like really since Denver is when things started to change a little bit. But even Denver had a great year that year. How many games did Denver win the year they won
I don't
the
know, but we are one game away from the team that finished with 68 regular season wins winning the championship.
Exactly. So you can't say the regular season doesn't matter because it does. Now, I do think you can go over the top with that. And, I think the Cavs have championed their regular season wins a little bit too much at times. I totally agree with that. But we can't totally dismiss it and throw it out and say it doesn't matter when teams with 50 or fewer wins haven't won a championship in 30 years and the team that had 68 wins is about to win it again if they win one more game. And we're going to see yet again that history shows teams that dominant almost always win. And it's just unfortunate the Cavs are now in the conversation of that team that didn't. And that's, again, they had an atrocious 2 weeks at the worst possible time. But I almost think I'm almost come back the other way now to where it shows you how good this team really was, because what they accomplished this year almost never happens. And the teams that do it almost always win the championship. They're just the anomaly. They're on the wrong side of the anomaly.
It sucks, though, because the Cavs the last 2 years have been great in the regular season. And now, next year I'm not going to care about the regular season.
Everybody's going to feel that way. Everybody's going to feel that way.
And it was the same way when LeBron was here.
And I can't fault you for that. Honestly, I don't fault you for that.
But, the stats back it up that it does matter.
Yeah, it does. It truly does.
I need to go into coma during the regular season.
Something we're missing in this whole thing.
But that's why this is such a nuanced conversation.
Yeah.
And I don't think we have all the information yet, because this is this brave new world of the NBA.
Yeah.
And there's just not a lot of data. When I talk to people in the league, they sort of shrug their shoulders. We talked about this before. 4 quarters doesn't equal $1. And NBA has been such a star-driven league, you would rather have a dollar player than 4 quarter players, because the dollar player is going to win every time. And I've asked around, is that still true? And to this point, the answer is, I don't know. We'll find out. We're not far enough down the line. And Mike and I sort of did the show yesterday that we recorded that'll air tomorrow, was sort of on that, about depth. And I just don't think it's so black and white of an issue of yes or no of an issue of a $20 million player can't help you. If he can't shoot, he can't win a championship. Because I'll go the other way. And again, old era. But, I used this example yesterday. Channing Frye absolutely cooked the Raptors in the conference finals. In 2016, they were winning the championship. He was unplayable against Golden State,
right?
Because they put him in pick and rolls and he couldn't guard. But it depends. It's more matchup dependent, I think, than just a blatant. If you can't score, if you can't get your own shot, you're not going to help. Because Kevin Love, who was one of the big three, who absolutely, regardless of what you say, was vital to that team, they had to bring him off the bench against the Warriors.
Say he wasn't vital.
You've tried to diminish his role before on that champion. You said they could win a championship without him. You have.
I think they could.
But he was vital. So was he vital or was he not?
I think he was vital that year, yes.
Okay. So, but the larger point is, for as important as he was to that team, they brought him off the bench in the finals because it was so matchup dependent. It's more, and you could say we're going to make teams adjust to us and we're going to make them play our style. That's all well and good, but that's not always true. A lot of times you do have to react to the way that teams are playing you, especially in the NBA.
What's interesting, though, is, you point to Oklahoma City, and it's fair, as, look, the regular season mattered. But correct me if I'm wrong, the second best team in the league, Cavs, lost in the second round.
Yep.
The third best team in the NBA, the Celtics, lost in the second round.
Yep.
The fourth best team in the league, I believe, was the Rockets.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Is that correct, Mike?
Technically, yes, by slight percentage points.
They lost in the second round. Oh, the first round. Who was the fifth best team?
Knicks.
Okay, so the other 3 teams...
And then the Pacers were tied for 6th.
So the next 3 best teams in the league won a combined 2 playoff series against nobody.
And the Cavs had a lot of injuries, and the Celtics lost Tatum. They probably would have. They were on the.
Well, I don't want to hear about injuries because maybe if Halliburton wasn't hurt, the Pacers would have won this series.
Maybe
we'll never know.
You might be, but that's why injuries are the great equalizer in all of this stuff. Boston probably was trending toward losing that series even before Tatum went down, but you do have to point out they lost their best player, and the Cavs were fighting injuries, and whether you want to use that as an excuse or not, that's the reality of the situation. But ultimately, if the team that won 68 games and made history with their margin of victory wins the championship, you can look at it and say, that's now 13 of 16 times this has happened, the best team won. I think that's pretty significant. It's never going to be 100%. There's always going to be exceptions to every rule that you have one way or the other. But that's really, really telling to me.
All right, fair enough. I can't argue against that. Go ahead, Mike.
We'll just preview a little bit of what we did for tomorrow. Once again, no UCSS tomorrow. It is Juneteenth. However, Jason and I recorded an hour-long Ultimate Cavs show. We talked a couple different theories, some overreactions that'll be on our YouTube page at 11 a.m. It premieres just like a regular show, so there'll still be a live chat and all that. However, it is pre-recorded, so just know that is what's coming. Dustin, real quick, curious before we wrap up, your thoughts on the need to have 5 creators in the court or not? Do you think I'm overblowing it, or do you agree on my side.
I mean, I think you got to have guys that can get their own buckets, especially late in games. I mean, like Isaac Okoro is a guy that has proven that you can't have him on the floor at certain times of the game, and so that's an unfortunate situation. So yeah, I tend to agree that you need I'm with you.
And also, I think this, because again, I think there's just a lot of nuance to this. It's not clear one way or the other. How you got to that $20 million is important. In Jarrett's case, he's a guy that's been here for 3 or 4 years, so he's sort of grandfathered into the salary cap. If you're trying to create a $20 million slot to go sign a guy who can't dribble, pass, shoot, that's different rather than a guy who was already here, who was sort of baked into the cake already, if that makes sense. I don't know if I'm explaining that right, but
no, it makes sense.
How you get to that $20 million, I think, is really important in this conversation.
Okay.
I also think, by the way, like Jarrett Allen, as the 84th highest paid player in basketball, is a relatively not only fair but very good contract.
Value.
Yeah,
There's value.
There's a lot of value there.
It's
Absolutely.
just I'm not sure if that contract slot is the best allocation of resources when you get hard capped, when you don't have a plethora of creators elsewhere. Like, I'm not saying a big that can't create can never be part of a championship team. I just think if I were to build a team out, it would not be how I would spend 15 point of the cap.
To your point, 83rd, the player just above Jarrett Allen this year on payroll was Derek White. I'd take Derek White over Jarrett Allen 10 times out of 10.
I would do it 100 out of 10 times.
Yeah, and he's making $17,000 more than Jarrett this year. So again, a lot of value in contracts comes in when did you sign them? Are you in the first year of a deal or the last year of a deal? A lot of that's gonna, when you're in year 3 or 4 and the cap keeps going up and up and up, there's a lot of value there. If it's the first year of the deal, probably not as much value.
All right. I got 2 reads. We'll do Super Chats and then wrap up today's show. Super Chats today brought to us by Monarch Money. Have you ever checked your bank account and wondered, where'd all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it is easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in. Your personal CFO giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spendings in one place. So you stop just managing your money and start building wealth. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use promo code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That is monarchmoney.com. Promo code LOCKEDONNFL for half off your first year. Epicor is also a proud sponsor of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, in practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the All-Stars are the hardworking manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices, from small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global visions. We'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way, because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most out of every hardworking minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier finds the lane. Discover your success at easierwithepicor.com.
By the way, I forgot to mention, Mike, that a number of people down at the Little League field were very complimentary of the work you did putting that piece together.
Well done, Mike. I saw it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Everybody, I had not only families and the kids from my team, but families and kids from other teams as well.
Was Kim Crane pissed off at me? Did I ruffle some feathers in the Kim Crane
there was no.
clubhouse?
In fact, one of the kids from Kim Crane came up to me yesterday.
Who's Kim Crane?
Was the team we played. The teams are named after the sponsors.
Big rivalry in Rocky Lake.
Yeah.
Got it.
One of the kids from the Kim Crane team came up to me on Monday, and he's like, Coach Bull, you showed my double play on there or whatever. I don't know, So
I did try to put some good plays from them in there too when I could.
Yeah. So everybody was pretty excited about it,
Well,
so
if any other Little League
done.
teams need a photographer, we could discuss rates.
Yeah. Will you come back for the playoffs?
Depending on times, yeah, if I can.
We need to win a playoff game this year.
Let me get the one super chat, then we'll talk about
ahead.
you being on the hot seat for the playoffs, because I do think Now that you have the big press of you got to win on camera, there's some people asking some serious questions.
Serious questions.
Can you deliver? We only have 2 super chats.
Yeah.
And one isn't even a super chat. One is a shout out to Phil Bowman, who gifted 10 memberships today. So shout out to our guy Phil, very generous.
Do you ever say how much the super chats are on air? Or is that not okay?
I mean, it's public.
Because somebody on the Guardian show the other day did a $100 super chat.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
What does that get them?
Nothing.
It gets their
It's a way to support UCSS.
Well, no, I understand that, but I'm saying
we read their chat.
But like, the more you spend, the higher the priority it is.
You get a different color.
Yeah, you get a different color.
What the $100 get you?
I don't remember the color. Green, I think, maybe.
I don't know the exact.
I don't remember,
color.
but I thought that was really cool.
Well, whoever it was, shout out to you. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Now, I don't like to read them because I don't want to shame anyone if people can only contribute.
Yeah, I know. It's not necessary to send $100, but I was just kind of blown away by that.
Well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
And if anyone else wants to send a $100 super chat, we won't say no. But our super chat today comes from Mick McGee, who says, another great Cleveland wrestler is Logan Paul, big YouTuber. And wherever he comes back to Cleveland, you'd think he was from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Paul brothers. Aren't they from Westlake?
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
you know what?
I was not a fan when they were like doing all the YouTube stuff, but now that they actually they're actually really good athletes.
Certainly great athletes.
Logan Paul is an incredible wrestler.
There's no debating that.
I took AJ and Alexander to the SummerSlam last summer when he was at Brown Stadium, and he did some sort of like flip off the top rope. That was
I mean,
great athletes.
When these guys tried to do the boxing and the wrestling stuff, I was like, these guys who are these guys? They're YouTubers, but no, they're phenomenal athletes.
They're fighting each other now. The
Are
next
they really?
fight is Logan versus Jake.
Okay. That's kind of cool.
I'm
cool.
gonna
And I
con
believe they're
myself
members of the tribe, so I can't hate them. I find them annoying.
I never liked them. I couldn't stand them.
Yeah.
But I think it was there's like a Netflix show that they did or something.
Yeah.
It was unscripted or untold, whatever, with Jake Paul, which was really good. And
It
that's
was,
how
it
I
was well
started to
done.
like him too.
I kind of came around a little bit after seeing that.
Yeah.
By
By the
check
way,
it out.
my one Jewish friend who was at the wedding said, Mazel Tov. He's like,
I know.
you had a Jewish guy marry you.
I had a chance to talk to him.
David.
What's his name again?
David. Was it David Benson?
Yes.
Yeah, my buddy Benson.
Yeah, nice guy. We were chatting for a little bit.
All right, Bull.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you some unconfirmed rumors I got from my Little League experience. Now I'm an insider.
Yeah.
I'm an insider.
That's what I'm hearing. That's the word on the street.
I've been told
Yeah.
from quasi-credible sources that you have tried to raise prices in the snack stand, which people are livid at. So they're already mad at you, and your playoff record has been abysmal over the last 2 years, and that is why you're on the hot
2
seat.
years.
Look at you, Haslam, trying to raise the prices on a crap
Listen,
team.
we gotta, we need to make money. We're a struggling town in Rocky River.
Yeah, that's said every year.
And my playoff record is not just bad for the last 2 years. It's the entire time I've been in the Little League. I am 0-3 in the playoffs. We've been the lowest seeded team. We have had a lead in all of the games against a heavy favorite, and we've blown the lead late.
I don't think you can call for a firing of another coach in this town until you win a playoff game.
You know what you keep calling for? Where are these big clutch moments from Evan Mobley?
Yeah.
Where are these big clutch coaching moments?
I know.
From you, boy?
I need it. I had one in the game you
Well,
were at.
it was objectively a great comeback.
Can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I was actually very impressed with your style,
Thank you.
your coaching style. I'm
I
like,
appreciate it.
Yeah, you do a nice job.
Thank you.
He is great with the kids.
I have a
dude, that's
real
hard.
passion
It's
for
hard
it.
to do, man.
Yeah.
To
Thank
be
you.
able to communicate with young people is
Yeah.
a skill.
I appreciate
A talent,
that.
really.
I love it. It's so awesome that I know so many of these kids now, and just when they move on, some of the 7th grade kids that have moved on from Little League and are now playing travel ball or whatever.
you take a little bit of
they'll
pride.
come back to the field, and I talk to them. I'm like, "How you doing? How's the season going?" I keep tabs on them. Because I kind of like it.
You have no idea how big of an impact you're making on these kids' lives.
I hope so.
I remember coaches that I had when I was
Yeah.
that age, and they still made an impact. Absolutely.
That's awesome. Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
and whenever I think I did something wrong with a kid, I stew about it. I drive myself nuts.
Because you care, just like you care about my wedding. Like, dude, you
Thank
just have
you,
a great character,
I,
man.
I appreciate that.
It's awesome.
But I love these kids, and it's really I feel good about us winning a playoff game this year for the first time, because as you know, Mike, our ace pitcher, Owen Town,
The Emmanuel Clase,
great name, man.
the Rocky River Little League.
he pulled the Emmanuel Clase, got a save.
This the kid that couldn't pitch?
He couldn't pitch because he plays travel. And I'm friendly with his travel coach. Like, he and I run the Rocky River Fall Bowl League together, and I was a little annoyed at George. I told him that he didn't communicate well. So this week, we talked. We've already talked about the playoffs. And now, here's the decision I need help with. Oh, I'll save this for overtime.
I do have a little something in overtime, but you can save this for overtime.
Okay, because I need real help on this one. This is serious. I've got a key. We still have 3 regular season games left, but it is what it is. We're going to be either the 5, 6. There's only 7 teams in our league this year. We're going to be either the 5, 6, or 7 seed, probably 6 or 7. So we're gonna play Monday, most likely, unless if we do get up to the 5 seed, we play Tuesday, not next week, but the week after, and then we play Wednesday. So I'm gonna need some advice on my pitching decisions here, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about that in overtime.
We'll do that in overtime, plus a sports-related where would you sit chart that I found that I think you guys will enjoy.
Where would you sit? What do you mean?
Like, which group would you sit with on a bus?
I like those.
We'll see you in overtime.
See ya.
Peace.